within the Bush White House itself. Also this hour, a protest of the Bush-Maliki summit could make matters worse in Iraq. Lawmakers loyal to the powerful anti-American Shiite cleric suspend their role in the government. It's midnight in Baghdad, the center of political upheaval and unending violence right now. And two Democrats are publicly venting their anger at President Bush. Senator-elect Jim Webb of Virginia has a very personal bone to pick with Mr. Bush over Iraq. And Al Gore just may be setting the stage for a presidential campaign comeback. I'm Wolf Blitzer. You're in the Situation Room. This was supposed to be a promising day for U.S. and Iraqi officials searching for a way out of a bloody and politically damaging war. But several major new developments are dashing hopes and complicating diplomacy right now. The Iraqi Prime Minister Nouri al-Maliki was a no-show at a dinner with President Bush and Jordan's King Abdullah in Amman, Jordan tonight. The administration says Mr. Bush and al-Maliki will meet tomorrow. It's not clear if the delayed talks are connected to a bombshell back here in the United States. That would be the disclosure of a classified memo from National Security Advisor Stephen Hadley to President Bush. It raises serious questions about whether al-Maliki can rein in sectarian violence and rise above the Sunni-Shia divide. Those divisions on very vivid display today when lawmakers loyal to the Shiite cleric Muqtada al-Sadr suspended their involvement in the Iraqi government. And amid the disappointments, a possible turning point on the horizon. President Bush is only days away from getting recommendations on Iraq from that bipartisan panel now assessing U.S. policy there. A source telling CNN the Iraq Study Group will issue its report next Wednesday. Jamie McIntyre is standing by at the Pentagon with the latest on U.S. troop movements. Nick Robertson is in Baghdad, Ben Wiedemann in Amman. But let's start with CNN's Brian Todd. He has more on this stunning memo leaked to the New York Times earlier today. Brian?
Wolf, just this morning, top White House officials said the president has confidence in Nouri al-Maliki. Privately, this document shows there are very different signals. A startling inside look. Grave doubts among top White House officials about Iraq's Prime Minister Nouri al-Maliki and his ability to control spiraling violence. A classified memo from National Security Advisor Stephen Hadley obtained by the New York Times. Maliki is either ignorant of what is going on, misrepresenting his intentions, or that his capabilities are not yet sufficient to turn his good intentions into action. If that was Hadley's position a few weeks ago, why does President Bush now signal he'll lean on Maliki for answers when they meet in Jordan?
My questions to him will be, what do we need to do to succeed? What is your strategy in dealing with the sectarian violence?
Was the release of this memo a signal to Maliki? Senior White House officials deny leaking Hadley's document. One official saying this is not helpful. One columnist agrees.
It's hard to imagine something that would be more disruptive to a presidential summit meeting than a document like this, but it does state clearly this strategy premised on Prime Minister Maliki isn't working.
CNN's efforts to reach Maliki's office and members of Iraq's parliament for reaction were unsuccessful. Maliki, who's Shia, has been accused of being too tough on Sunnis and overlooking abuses committed by Shia militants like those led by radical cleric Muqtada al-Sadr. The document suggests ways he can turn that around. One of them, quote, bring his political strategy with Muqtada al-Sadr to closure. But can he do it?
I think it is beyond the control of Mr. Maliki. Muqtada al-Sadr is a real player in terms of militias on the ground, as well as his supporters who make the coalition that puts Maliki on top of the government.
A top White House official tells us, quote, this is not the president dictating terms, and the memo doesn't leave Maliki hanging. It lists several ways the U.S. can help him stabilize Iraq if he's unable to do it himself, like helping him broaden his political base from his tight circle of Shia allies and possibly moving additional U.S. forces into Baghdad. Wolf?
All right, Brian, stand by. Ben Wiedemann is our man in Amman, Jordan right now. Ben, the president of the United States was supposed to have dinner with Nouri al-Maliki tonight. There were these threats coming in from Muqtada al-Sadr and his political bloc back in Baghdad. Guess what? The dinner not happening. They're supposed to meet tomorrow. What's the latest you can share with our viewers?
Well, Wolf, there seems to be a lot of confusion about this. The official White House program for the visit did not actually mention that there would be any meeting between President Bush and Prime Minister al-Maliki this evening. The only scheduled event is a breakfast tomorrow morning and a meeting and a press conference afterwards. But certainly there were expectations that there would be a photo opportunity involving Jordan's King Abdullah, President Bush, and al-Maliki. That did not happen, and that was a lot of surprise for many people here. There are many ways to read things into it. Some people here suggesting this is part and parcel of a general discrediting of al-Maliki, which came also from this leaked White House memo. Jordanian and American officials insisting that's simply not the case. It was just a question of trying to make or find the time. Wolf?
You've spent a lot of time in the Arab world, Ben. You speak Arabic. This was pretty humiliating for an Arab leader to wake up this morning and to see what Stephen Hadley, the president's national security advisor, is saying about him. Either he's a wimp or he's just a bad guy, but it was not very flattering to this Iraqi prime minister.
No, certainly the symbolism, if you add all these things up, is not good. It is not good at all. And certainly it spoils many expectations or hopes that President Bush's visit to Jordan, his meetings with Iraqi and Jordanian officials would actually lead to something positive. They haven't even met yet, and already it seems that any expectations that were high are going to be significantly lowered at this point. Wolf?
All right, Ben, stand by over there in Jordan because there's a lot more to report from there. Let's go to the Pentagon. Jamie McIntyre is our man there. Jamie, all of this is taking place as you're getting word that the United States is about to deploy thousands of additional troops in Baghdad, move them from relatively secure areas, relatively stable areas, to the firefight that's going on in the Baghdad area.
Once again, Wolf, the failure of Iraqi forces to stand up has forced the U.S. to stand in. Top Commander General George Casey has ordered several battalions to be moved into the Baghdad area, some of them coming from Mosul. But significantly, these troops are not coming from the Al-Anbar province, where the U.S. Marines are locked in combat with insurgents in an insurgent stronghold. The chairman of the Joint Chiefs today poured cold water on a report suggesting the U.S. was considering abandoning Al-Anbar province and moving those troops to Baghdad. General Peter Pace said that is not on the table. Wolf?
Jamie, the notion of sending, 3 battalions, that's about 15,000 American troops, mostly U.S. Army soldiers, is that right?
They're all Army soldiers. It's not 15,000. It's somewhere between 1,500, 2,000, perhaps a little bit more. It could be as many as 5,000 when you add everything up. But it is basically to plug the gap they have in Baghdad from the failure of Iraqi brigades to report for duty. Many of them refuse to leave their home areas. Wolf?
Because the fear is certainly the families who are hearing this, let's say 5,000 troops going from relatively secure areas in Kurdistan in the north, where it's been quiet, relatively speaking, and moving them into Baghdad. They're going to be worried that this is not necessarily going to make a difference, but it's going to increase the potential for U.S. casualties.
Well, it's certainly not an unfounded worry. There's no doubt about it. These days, Baghdad is dirty and dangerous duty.
Jamie, thanks very much. We'll get back to you as well. The killing and the chaos in Iraq continuing. Police say 6 Iraqis died in car bombings and shootings in Baghdad today, and another 52 bullet-riddled bodies were found strewn across the capital. It's a very deadly backdrop for a new political turmoil. Joining us now in Baghdad, our correspondent Nick Robertson. Nick, if Muqtada al-Sadr, this radical Shiite cleric, if he really lives up to this threat and bolts his forces from the government of the prime minister, is Nouri al-Maliki's government going to collapse?
If he was really to do that, Wolf, yes, it would have a very serious impact on it. Would these ministers be replaced? Would other parliamentarians fill those spots? It seems unlikely. But what really seems to be happening right now is they're pulling out, Muqtada al-Sadr's bloc is pulling out its participation for the government. The language that they're using really gives them the space to get back into the government as well. And Muqtada al-Sadr is being very careful here. He is using his spokesman to get his message out. So he's not putting his name specifically on some of the these threats and issues. So there's a political space for this government to continue, and that perhaps is the direction it may go in. But of course, we just don't know that right now, Wolf.
And to underscore the fragility, the insecurity where you are in Baghdad right now, we're getting word from our Pentagon correspondents that the U.S. is about to deploy at least 3 more brigades of American troops, maybe 15,000 additional U.S. soldiers and Marines in Baghdad, move them in from some more secure areas, perhaps in the north. Is this likely, though, based on what you see on the ground, to make a real difference?
It will make a difference. Certainly, whenever we've seen in Iraq, when more troops are moved in to combat insurgents, to combat these militias, they bring a level of security. How long can they hold it? What happens in the areas that they move out of? Those will be concerns of the military as they make this deployment. But will it solve the issue here? Look, if you don't solve the insurgency and the militias in Baghdad, then Baghdad just acts as a pump, feeding out to other areas, Bakuba, Biritz, just north of Baghdad, other places to the south where the insurgency and the militias operate. So to control and stop the insurgency and militias here is militarily critical, and that seems to be why the Pentagon is taking this approach. But what we've seen in the past is, as you concentrate troops, you move the insurgents and militias out of that area, they pick up somewhere else, Wolf. That's what we've seen happen in the past.
Nick Robertson's our man in Baghdad. Nick, be careful over there. And just want to correct, closer to 5,000 troops would be redeployed from other areas of Iraq to the Baghdad area, not 15,000. Meanwhile, the former Secretary of State Colin Powell now weighing in on the debate over whether the violence in Iraq amounts to a civil war. Powell says if he were heading the State Department right now, he'd recommend that the Bush administration use that term to describe the carnage. Powell's comments coming in Dubai, the latest example of his break with the administration's Iraq policy after publicly backing the 2003 invasion when he was America's top diplomat. We're going to have much more on Colin Powell's words today in Dubai. That's coming up here in the Situation Room in the next hour. You're going to be surprised what else he had to say in the United Arab Emirates. Jack Cafferty is joining us in New York with the Cafferty File. Jack?
So much for that awkward small talk at the dinner table. Prime Minister Nouri al-Maliki of Iraq has decided to sit out a meal tonight with President Bush and Jordan's King Abdullah. This was, of course, after a White House memo was leaked questioning al-Maliki's ability to govern what's left of Iraq. The administration has little confidence in al-Maliki. National Security Advisor Stephen Hadley calling him a strong leader, but said he's having trouble figuring out how to do his job. His job? He has no job. He doesn't govern anything. Iraq is in the throes of an escalating civil war, and the elected government there is powerless to do anything about it. The power in Iraq's in the hands of the militias. Shiite cleric Muqtada al-Sadr runs the powerful Mehdi militia. He's threatened to pull his people out of the government if al-Maliki goes ahead with a meeting with President Bush. So here's the question. Ponder this. If the Bush administration has no confidence in Nouri al-Maliki, where do we go from here? Email your thoughts to CaffertyFile@CNN.com or go to CNN.com/CaffertyFile. Wolf.
Jack, thank you. See you soon. Coming up, Al Gore making the most of his celebrity status. Is he also laying the groundwork right now for another presidential bid? The speculation keeps on coming, and there are new developments today. A tangled and angry Webb. Virginia Senator-elect confirms a bitter and personal exchange with President Bush over Iraq. And up next, a radioactive twist in the death of a former KGB spy. We're going to have a live report from London. There are new developments in this story as well. Stay with us. You're in the Situation Room.
The Situation Room is brought to you by Plavix.
Putting breaking news into the hands of 1 million readers a day, Carl is a formidable man. But he was no match for something smaller than a drop of ink. It KO'd Carl so fast he didn't know what hit him. It was a clot. Like Carl, if you've been hospitalized with heart-related chest pain or a certain type of heart attack, what doctors call ACS, chances are you've had a clot. But now, Carl's doctor is helping increase Carl's protection against heart attack or stroke by putting Carl on Plavix. Plavix, in combination with aspirin and other heart medicines, helps provide greater protection against heart attack or stroke than aspirin and other heart medicines alone by helping keep blood platelets from sticking together and forming clots.
If you have a stomach ulcer or other condition that causes bleeding, you shouldn't use Plavix. When taking Plavix alone or with some medicines, including aspirin, the risk of bleeding may increase. To minimize this risk, talk to your doctor before taking aspirin or other medicines with Plavix. Additional rare but serious side effects could occur.
Ask your doctor about Plavix today, because no matter how formidable you are, you're no match for a dangerous clot. If you take Plavix with aspirin, continuing to do so will help increase your protection against a future heart attack or stroke. Beyond aspirin and your other heart medicines alone, you may be feeling better, but your risk never goes away. Help stay protected. Stay with Plavix.
Humor is very important to us. We both love to laugh. I find that I make her laugh even when I'm not trying to. So.
Find everything you're looking for on eharmony.com. It all starts with your personality profile. The $50 value free.
Tonight on 360, we're live from Amman, Jordan, where President Bush and Iraq's Prime Minister are holding talks. We'll have full coverage of their meetings on 360 tonight, 10 p.m. Eastern.
Cars are fun. Shopping for them should be too. VHICS.com. Visit the Accord showroom at VHICS.com to take a virtual test drive in the 2007 Honda Accord. Just go to VHICS.com/Honda.
It's time for movies on demand, like having a theater at your command. Hundreds of flicks from A to Z. With Comcast, see them totally free.
Watch them from your couch.
Or in your bed.
And you can eat popcorn out of my head.
Free movies on demand. Anytime you want, no need to plan. Free movies on demand.
Watch hundreds of movies free with On Demand from Comcast Digital Cable.
It's Comcastic.
Let's get to the truth. It's time for Answers. Lou Dobbs tonight, CNN 6 Eastern.
British Airways says traces of radiation have been found now aboard 2 jets tested as part of the investigation into the death of a former KGB spy. CNN's Matthew Chance is joining us now from London. This is a new development. What's the latest, Matthew?
It is a very new and worrying development, Wolf, in this police investigation into the poisoning of the former Russian agent Alexander Litvinenko. British Airways, the British airline, as well as the British government, have confirmed that 3 BA planes have now been grounded to be tested for traces of radiation. Apparently on 2 of those aircraft, as you mentioned, already traces of a very toxic radioactive substance have been detected by the forensic teams working on them. There are some quite staggering statistics involved in all this. We've spoken to Willie Walsh, the CEO of British Airways, and he said that these 3 planes over the past several weeks since the poisoning of Alexander Litvinenko took place have taken 221 flights. That means that some 33,000 passengers would have travelled on board of them, and that all of those people now have to be contacted and possibly tested for the symptoms of radiation sickness as well, Wolf. So very serious indeed.
And do we know what the initial symptoms might be that some of these passengers might be worried about right now?
Well, certainly the people who have been tested so far, and more than 1,000 have been interviewed and tested for the symptoms of radiation poisoning after this, are being told to look out for the kind of things that started Alexander Litvinenko's descent into eventual death. Cold sweats, severe vomiting. It feels like an intestinal complaint, but it's very difficult to diagnose and obviously impossible to stop. At the moment in Britain so far, 8 people in total, in addition to Alexander Litvinenko, have been referred to a specialist clinic in the British capital for further radiological tests. But the British government is stressing that this is purely for precautionary measures. They haven't confirmed at this point whether anybody else, apart from Alexander Litvinenko, has been actually contaminated.
All right, let's hope it stays like that. Thanks, Matthew, very much. We're going to stay on top of this story. Very worrisome story for a lot of passengers right now. For the tens of thousands of British Airways travelers who may have flown on the affected aircraft, The airline is posting new details online. This is important information. Abby Tatton standing by with details. Abby?
Yes, well, 3 aircraft taken out of service, over 200 flights, and they're posted online at BA.com. The airline is in the process of contacting 33,000 people that might have been passengers on those flights. Important to note here, they all are to or from London, none of them to or from cities in the United States. This is mostly short-haul destinations around Europe, in Spain, Germany, Greece, to and from London. Interestingly, by our count, about a third of these flights listed from London to Moscow or the other way round. So go to BA.com if you're interested in this information. The airline is contacting passengers right now. Wolf.
Thanks very much for that, Abby. We're going to stay, as I said, on top of that story. Meanwhile, right now, U.S. forces are on the hunt for al-Qaeda all across the world, from Iraq to Afghanistan to Africa. Our Pentagon correspondent, Barbara Starr, has an exclusive report on the terror hunt in Somalia. Barbara?
Wolf, the 1,800 U.S. troops here in the Horn of Africa are mainly conducting humanitarian relief missions, but they are also training militaries out here in Africa. They are conducting anti-terrorism operations. They are looking for piracy and smuggling. They are worried about al-Qaeda. Heavily armed U.S. troops brought CNN to Somalia's northern border region for a first-hand look at the latest flashpoint in Africa, and the country the U.S. military says is a growing safe haven for al-Qaeda. Even in this no-man's land, security is essential. There is also a tense border dispute here between Somalia and Ethiopia. There is a threat of war. Rear Admiral Richard Hunt commands 1,800 U.S. troops here in the Horn of Africa.
I think the biggest terrorist threat that we have in this area centers on Somalia. And a lot of that has to do with the known al-Qaeda operatives that we've had there in the past. It goes back to the 98 bombings in Nairobi, Dar es Salaam.
Hunt's comments are remarkable because the U.S. has had no relations with Somalia since the military pulled out of Mogadishu after the Black Hawk Down incident more than a decade ago. The U.S. troops now in this region are working mainly on humanitarian relief efforts, but there is increasing concern that the radical Islamic militia that rules much of southern Somalia will use its al-Qaeda connections to launch new attacks. This week in Mogadishu, thousands of Somalis gathered in support of the Islamic Courts Union militia, which is calling for a new jihad.
We are very concerned with the amount of extremism that is starting to be exhibited.
Hunt has little doubt that the Islamic militia in Somalia is a threat.
They again espouse global jihad. They have, we think, we are getting indications that there is direct al-Qaeda relationship with them, providing some of the training and background and resource support.
Back at the border, it's easy to see there really is no border. This region is why the U.S. military worries so much that al-Qaeda terrorists can readily move and plan their next attacks. The pile of rocks you see behind me is the border marking Ethiopia. Somalia lies just beyond. When you look around here and you see how remote and rugged it is, you begin to understand why the U.S. is so concerned that terrorists could readily move through this area. Wolf?
Barbara, thanks very much. Barbara doing some incredibly excellent exclusive reporting for us in the Horn of Africa. Still ahead, the president's choice to be Pentagon chief apparently isn't in lockstep with Mr. Bush. We're going to tell you about some new evidence that they don't necessarily see eye to eye when it comes to Iraq. A top Bush aide's doubts about the Iraqi prime minister now made very, very public. How does the Stephen Hadley memo figure into the president's desperate new search for a solution in Iraq? All that coming up in our strategy session. We'll be right back.
Go through as we do on these trips, giving you some background on.
Are our SUVs as much fun as our bikes?
You think you can handle it?
Can you?
Introducing the all-new midsize Suzuki XL7. It's going to be a great ride. Lease the all-new Suzuki XL7, starting at $289 a month. Hurry in.
At UBS, financial solutions come from listening carefully to what our clients say, but even more carefully to what they don't say. You could call it understanding, We just call it you and us. UBS.
Technology has made your morning easier. Why not your shave? The Philips Norelco Smart Touch XL is designed to shave more, with 3 shaving rings in each shaving head, and it stays on your neck, so even tricky hairs are cut. Simplicity is making every stroke count.
Who are you shopping for?
My secret Santa, Rick from accounting.
What's he like?
His name is Rick, and he works in accounting.
Oh, he sounds neat.
Get a SanDisk 2 gig USB flash drive for just $39.98 this week at Staples.
Who is on your list?
My mother?
Does she like junk mail?
No.
Neither does this thing.
Ooh, that really shreds.
The Staples Mail-Made Shredder fits on your kitchen counter, only from the Department of Unexpected Gifts.
Flight 27 has been canceled due to weather. Our next departure is 6 a.m. tomorrow.
No, hey, lady. It's time to play Take On Orbits. Today's players have bad weather, must book a hotel before the other 200 passengers. Go.
Oakwood?
Yes. Dentmore. Oh, no vacancy. Orbits TLC lets you find a hotel right from your phone. Next time, Orbits and go.
Honey, look! Dolphin! Wow, I can't believe it!
There's a better way to phone for less.
Sweet bondage!
Unlimited local and long-distance calling, just $24.99 a month. That's a savings of up to 50% on your phone bill.
Honey, the dolphins! Come on, let's go play!
Bondage, one smart decision among many, many stupid ones. Call 1-800-930-4VON.
Welcome back to the Situation Room. I'm Wolf Blitzer in Washington. While President Bush is in Jordan for Iraq crisis talks, there's new evidence back here in Washington that he and his defense secretary nominee are not necessarily on the same page. At issue, Robert Gates' views on enlisting Iran and Syria in the mission to try to stabilize Iraq. Let's get some more on that. We'll turn to our congressional correspondent, Andrea Koppel. Andrea, what's the latest?
Well, Wolf, even as President Bush's plane was touching down in Amman, Jordan today for his summit with Iraq's prime minister, back here in Washington, Robert Gates, the former head of the CIA, was signaling that he and Mr. Bush do not necessarily see eye to eye on Iraq.
Robert Gates says he believes the U.S. needs to talk to Iraq's other neighbors, like Iran and Syria. That would be at odds with current U.S. policy. Gates laid out his position in written testimony obtained by CNN to the Senate Armed Services Committee, which begins his confirmation hearing next week. On Iran, Gates likens the situation to the Cold War era, when even during the worst days, he said, the U.S. maintained a dialogue with the Soviet Union and China. In the case of Iran, Gates says, I believe no option that could potentially benefit U.S. policy should be off the table. He goes on to suggest that dialogue could be as part of an international conference. An approach Gates believes should also be considered with Syria. Gates says he agreed with President Bush's decision to invade Iraq in 2003. And while he didn't tip his hand on whether or when to withdraw U.S. troops, Gates warns that leaving Iraq in chaos would have dangerous consequences both in the region and globally for many years to come. An answer that did not seem to satisfy Democrat Carl Levin, the incoming chairman of the Senate Armed Services Committee.
Everyone agrees that we don't want to leave Iraq in chaos. Iraq is in chaos. That's where the difference comes. The question is, how do we increase the chances of ending the chaos that now exists in Iraq? That's the issue. And I hope that Gates would be open-minded on that issue.
Now, Levin and Rhode Island's Jack Reed, who's also on the Armed Services Committee, are pushing to begin redeploying U.S. troops in the next 4 to 6 months. But both men are saying that the U.S. and Gates, if he's confirmed, Wolf, will need to move even faster to prevent Iraq from spiraling out of control. Wolf.
All right, Andrea, thank you. In our strategy session, new undercutting of the president's new and urgent Iraq diplomacy. A leaked memo showing his national security advisor has very serious doubts about the Iraqi prime minister. And the former Secretary of State Colin Powell now saying if it were up to him, the violence in Iraq would be called a civil war. Joining us now, CNN political analyst and Democratic strategist Paul Begala and Republican strategist Mike Murphy. Thanks, guys, for coming in. Does this leak of the Stephen Hadley memo, the front page of the New York Times, we've confirmed it, very detailed, very specific, have the feeling to you as a deliberate administration leak designed to help the president right now, or was this a leak by someone who was not necessarily trying to help the president?
Yeah, you know, I have flip-flopped on that over the day. Well, when I read it at 6 o'clock in the morning with my Cheerios, I thought it was a strategy. I thought, I always want to believe that my country, my president, especially when he's overseas, and we all pray for him and support him, that they have a strategy, and that this was a strategy to really push Maliki. I mean, I remember the last time Condoleezza Rice, the Secretary of State, was in Iraq, she pushed Maliki harder. I thought, well, good. This looks... You watch it play out today, and you realize, no, that it was an act of deep disloyalty by the leaker, I will say, but also it makes the administration look dishonest and incompetent. Now, we remember when the president went to Baghdad in June after Zarqawi was killed, he said this of Maliki: I'm impressed by the strength of your character and your desire to succeed, and I'm impressed by your strategy. Now we know that that wasn't true.
Certainly,
the White House
Stephen
doesn't
Hadley,
believe that.
who was there a few weeks ago, came back. He wasn't very impressed. He's very nervous. What kind of feeling does it have to you, Mike?
Well, I thought the same thing this morning. I thought maybe this is some sort of way to put a little pressure on Maliki, because Maliki is caught in a tough situation. He doesn't really have any power. And so he has the title, the responsibility, but he doesn't have the power to do much. He's controlled by the Shia warlords who have the population. So in the new Iraqi democracy, they have political power, but they're not acting in a way to combine the whole country. So I thought the White House put a little heat on him. But watching the kind of the speed bumps in the diplomacy today with the canceled meeting and everything, I think it probably was not a deliberate leak. I think somebody did a disservice to the president. But the bottom line is not the tactic of leaking. What does the memo say? It says the truth. It says there's a real problem between Shia and Sunni, and the Shia majority government is not addressing that, and the prime minister doesn't have the power to address the security situation.
It was a pretty well-written, pretty thoughtful memo that Stephen Hadley put together. Let's talk a little bit about another. This was not a leak, but it was Colin Powell, the former Secretary of State, in Dubai today saying, among other things, I would call it a civil war. I have been using it because I like to face the reality. He's recommending, you know what? Feels like a civil war and smells like a civil war. It's a civil war. The administration should acknowledge that.
Right. General Powell, Secretary Powell, has a grasp of the obvious. He was one of the first in our government to say the situation in Darfur was a genocide. There was a great, semantic debate about whether the genocide in Darfur was in fact to be called a genocide. Secretary Powell spoke out then, and he spoke the truth. It is another example of where our government's communication strategy is perhaps at odds with its real strategy, and this creates a credibility gap. If the president was to simply give a speech and read Stephen Hadley's memo, I think people might not like it, but they would respect it. They would say, well, at least he's dealing with reality. Instead, he keeps giving us this happy horse manure in his public performances, and later we find out that he's not telling the truth. That's what's killing this president with the public right now.
You know, I'm kind of grumpy about this civil war thing because I think it's a silly issue. It's a semantic question of whether or not a big sectarian war has now crossed the line to a civil war. It's very close. You can argue either side of that, but I think it's kind of wasted energy to fight over terms. The problem is the election is now over, so I think partisanship ought to be over, especially in foreign policy. And there's no way to fight a partisan war. So I think the president now has to cede a little bit of power to the Democrats, which will be very hard for him to do. And the Democrats have to switch from campaign mode of little fights like this over terminology into a big solution where we can unify the country because our national interest is now.
Let's talk a little real hard politics. You guys are good at that, the best in the business. Al Gore, you remember him, the former vice president of the United States, has a new interview in GQ magazine. Among other things, he says this. He says, this administration has been by far the most incompetent, inept, and with more moral cowardice and obsequiousness to their wealthy contributors and obliviousness to the public interest of any administration in modern history, and probably in the entire history of the country. This comes as, you know, people close to Al Gore are suggesting to me, you know what, he is seriously thinking of running again. I don't know if he will or he won't, but what do you think? It sounds like he's setting the stage for it.
Yeah, I mean, we should get out the breaking news banner, run it across the bottom of the screen, breaking news, Gore doesn't like Bush. But that is music to the ears of core Democrats, the kind of people who are going to determine who the nominee of my party will be. And so I can only say, God bless Al Gore. Whether he runs or not, who knows? If he does run, I think there is an opening for someone who's anti-Washington and anti-war. Most of the major Democrats who are thinking about running supported the war. Al Gore did not. Neither did Barack Obama. Those are the two major Democrats who are thinking about running for president who didn't support the war. So yeah, I think there's a real option. I'm also wondering, though, what Barack Obama was in GQ, and now Al Gore, and they talked to my friend Rahm Emanuel. He's going to be in there. Murphy and I are never in GQ.
Yeah, we never get the call.
Wait, if you wait long enough, both of you go. What do you think?
The little fat guys.
What do you think about Al Gore's latest maneuverings?
I read it today and read all those adjectives packed into that punch, and I thought, boy, I'll have to put him down as undecided. You know, I'm shocked. There's attacking in the Democratic Party. I don't know if he's going to run or not. That feels like he's going to run. And I'll make the irresponsible prediction because I'm a Republican and I don't know anything about Democrats. If he runs, he's the nominee. I think he is the one guy in their field who's big enough in a Democratic primary to take Hillary Clinton. He's the other heavyweight. And if he runs, I think he's serious in the primaries as a heart attack. And this sure looks like campaign talk to me.
Last word. You think if he runs, he's got it?
He doesn't have it. They don't give these things away. But, you know, Hillary doesn't have it either, and Obama doesn't have it, and Tom Vilsack, the governor of Iowa, doesn't have it. I want lots of people out there. Good for us.
And guess what? You're going to get a lot of people
and
running.
If he keeps talking like this, he's going to have a huge national following.
We'll leave it right there. Guys, thanks very much for coming in.
Thank you.
We're going to have a lot more on Al Gore. That's coming up. Is he campaigning for an Oscar or another shot at the White House? We're going to look into the former vice president's interview in GQ and what's going on right now. Plus, a war of words over Iraq, pitting a Democratic senator-elect against the president. It's getting bitter and it's getting personal. We'll share the details with you. Stay with us. You're in The Situation.
Contributions to the Salvation Army go.
When something really fits, you can feel it, like the fit you get with C-Bond denture adhesive. It's the only wafer that has a gasket effect that locks dentures in place. Only C-Bond gives you all-over coverage, all-over hold in a wafer. No mess, no ooze.
When your dentures really fit, you can feel it.
Now, lock dentures in place with C-Bond, the adhesive wafer with the gasket fit. C-Bond.
I love you. Thank you.
Miss you.
Bon voyage.
Happy anniversary.
Happy birthday.
You're the best. Congratulations. Just a little something.
Happy birthday.
Thanks,
Have a good trip.
Felicitaciones. I'm gonna miss you.
When you have something important to say it in black and white.
Paul!
Oh, hey.
Here for your mortgage.
Actually, I'm using LendingTree instead.
Oh, you are? Why?
Well, they have banks competing, so their rates beat the national average.
We've been your bank for years. You can't just walk away.
Oh, I'm not. Since your bank is part of the LendingTree network, you can compete over me, too.
What?
And I want you to know, I'll be pulling for you. Good luck, buddy.
Today, interest rates are close to historic lows. Refinance now and lower your monthly payments at LendingTree.
Other vacuums may start out with powerful suction, and then they lose it. Sometimes after just a few rooms. Introducing the all-new Infinity Vacuum. With 24 cyclones, you'll never lose it. The new Infinity never loses suction.
When belief is worth dying for, when faith rocks civilization to its core, and religion becomes revolution. A special CNN presents After Jesus, Wednesday, December 20th.
A Democratic senator-elect makes no bones about his anger at President Bush over the war in Iraq. It's a very personal thing for Virginia's Jim Webb. His son is serving in the war, and that contributed to an ice-cold exchange between Webb and Mr. Bush, and that's now being made public. Let's turn to our senior political analyst, Bill Schneider. Bill?
Wolf, former House Speaker Sam Rayburn used to tell new members of Congress, quote, "Around here, you've got to go along to get along." Well, try telling that to Virginia's new senator. Jim Webb became a Democrat and ran for the Senate for one big reason: Iraq.
You know, I was an early voice warning against the implications of invading and occupying Iraq.
Webb has special credibility on Iraq. He was a military officer who served in Vietnam, a former Secretary of the Navy under President Reagan, and he has a son serving in Iraq. He wore his son's old combat boots during the campaign.
I have tremendous admiration for my son and for everyone else who is serving there, but they need to be led properly.
Webb took on President Bush directly.
But the key word is leadership, which has been a scarce commodity among this administration and its followers.
President Bush saw Webb at a White House reception for new members of Congress this month. The freshman senator had this exchange with the president, which he confirmed to the Washington Post. "How's your boy?" Bush asked. "I'd like to get them out of Iraq, Mr. President," Webb replied. "That's not what I asked you," Bush said. "How's your boy?" "That's between me and my boy, Mr. President," Webb said. The White House incident is causing a lot of tut-tutting in Washington. A Democratic Senate staffer told the Post, "I think Webb is going to be a total pain. He's going to do things his own way." Shock, horror. Webb reassures his colleagues.
I've spent 4 years as a committee counsel in the Congress. I know how the process works.
Webb's confrontation is a striking contrast to the pictures of Democrats meeting with President Bush and pledging cooperation and bipartisanship. It's also not the way things usually get done in Washington. But it is what a lot of people voted for. Webb did not run as a typical politician, and it doesn't look like he's about to change now that he's gotten elected. Wolf?
All right, thanks very much. No one should be surprised about that. That's clearly his M.O. And as we've been reporting, a leaked memo shows that top Bush administration officials are questioning whether Iraq's prime minister can actually run the country. Now, Jack Cafferty is asking you for ideas on where we go from here. Then, potential candidates are gearing up for the 2008 presidential race. The Republican field, though, just got a little bit smaller. We're going to tell you who just announced that he won't be running. Stay with us. You're in the Situation Room.
My business spends thousands of dollars on materials, on supplies,
On equipment.
So when I heard about a credit card that gives you up to 5% cash back,
I didn't need a second opinion.
With the Platinum Business Cash Rebate Card from American Express, you can get up to 5% cash back automatically with no limit on how much you can earn. Call 1-800-NOW-OPEN to apply.
Cash back on EKG machines.
cash back on drywall,
on engines,
On computers.
even pizza.
There's no annual fee and no interest for 6 months. Plus, you'll get the service you deserve from Open, the small business team at American Express.
$640 back. Nice.
The Platinum Business Cash Rebate Card from American Express. Call now for a 60-second decision and start getting up to 5% cash back.
Cash back that goes right back into my pocket.
10 years ago, I was in New York performing and I collapsed on stage. I just fell on the floor. I passed out.
Patti LaBelle has diabetes.
I had no idea. My blood glucose level was 500. Food was the enemy back then.
One Touch Ultra 2 with before and after meal averages can help you see how food affects your blood sugar.
Today, I check my blood sugar. Watch what I eat. I have diabetes. Diabetes does not have me.
Call 1-888-881-5188 and you'll receive our free animated DVD to help you learn how food affects your blood sugar.
In the beginning, I needed a lot of help.
Simple Start Diabetes and Food gives you easy tips.
Like when to test, how often.
Learn how carbohydrates raise your blood sugar.
There are some foods you need to look out for.
How to gauge portion sizes.
It doesn't mean you can't have fun.
So call 1-888-881-5188 now, and you may qualify for other One Touch offers at absolutely no cost.
One that changes everything.
If you're a man over 50, it's time to take the Avidart quiz. Are you always going? Do you have trouble going? Are you going at night? Maybe you think you have a going problem. But what if it's a growing problem? What if it's not your bladder, but instead you have an enlarging prostate? 50% of men over 50 do, and you may be able to do something about that going and growing with Avidart. Most medicines only treat symptoms. Avodart, with time, actually shrinks the prostate and improves urinary symptoms. Only your doctor can tell if your symptoms are from an enlarged prostate and not a more serious condition, such as prostate cancer. So have regular prostate exams. Avodart is for men only. Women should not take or handle Avodart due to the risk of a specific birth defect. Tell your doctor if you have liver disease. Rarely, sexual side effects, tenderness, or swelling of the breast can occur. Have you called your doctor? Avodart, for your growing problem.
On our political radar this Wednesday, Senate Majority Leader Bill Frist out of the 2008 race for the White House. The Republican announced today he'll pass on a presidential campaign because he wants to take what he calls a sabbatical from public life. The move effectively ends his political career at least for the time being, since Frist is retiring from the U.S. Senate as well. Another top Democrat on the House Intelligence Committee is getting passed over for the chairmanship. Democratic staff aides say California Congresswoman Jane Harman has been dropped from consideration for the post by the incoming House Speaker Nancy Pelosi. Pelosi also nixed Congressman Alcee Hastings for the job. She now reportedly is searching for a compromise among various candidates, including Congressman Sylvester Reyes of Texas. And remember, for all the latest political news at any time, check out our political ticker, CNN.com/ticker. Fears of widespread midterm election problems didn't come to fruition, but a new report is giving us some insight into what did go wrong and what needs to be done to make sure every vote counts in the 2008 presidential election. Our internet reporter, Abby Tatton, standing by with details. Abby?
Wolf, the nonpartisan site electionline.org, established after the problems in 2000, reports that voters around the country experienced difficulties on Election Day, from voter ID issues in Missouri, long lines in Colorado, to problems with voting machines in Indiana. But there is good news as well in this report, that there were few close races in which problems affected the outcome. Although the report spends time on one notable exception, Florida's 13th congressional district, the seat vacated by Katherine Harris, where more than 18,000 Sarasota County citizens had no vote registered. Why? That's not known at this point. The touchscreen machines that we use don't produce a paper trail. State officials are currently conducting an audit. Now, the Republican Vern Buchanan has been certified the winner. Democrat Christine Jennings is contesting and asking for a revote. All of this is being followed closely by the watchdog group Common Cause. They're warning of a meltdown in elections ahead, and they've started a website, getitstraightby2008.org. Wolf?
I still don't understand. If you get a paper trail every time you use a credit card, you can't get a paper trail when you're voting. They'll continue to stay on top of this story. Thank you, Abby, for that. Up next, Iran's president writes to the American people saying they should seek truth and justice. We're going to tell you what he wants Americans to do. Plus, is he in? Is he out? Is he somewhere in between? We're going to tell you what's happening right now in the Al Gore presidential campaign guessing game. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Turn left.
So left up here.
Is that the new BlackBerry from Sprint?
Yeah, fast downloads, GPS, my calendar. I'd be lost without it.
That's cool.
BlackBerry devices powered by Sprint, now with real-time GPS capability.
So he's really...
Yeah. So left up here.
Get new BlackBerry devices at Sprint or Nextel stores or call 1-8-SPRINT-BIZ and get on the nation's largest mobile broadband network. Sprint. Power up.
Tonight on 360, we're live from Amman, Jordan, where President Bush and Iraq's Prime Minister are holding talks. We'll have full coverage of their meetings on 360 tonight, 10 p.m. Eastern.
As a kid, I used technology to help people do better. Today, Scottrade does the same for online investors. If you've been thinking about moving your account, this is the perfect time to come to Scottrade. With powerful trading tools and fast, accurate $7 trades, Scottrade gives you more for your money.
Here are some helpful tips for pet owners from 1-800-PET-MEDS, America's largest pet pharmacy.
During winter months, be sure to keep your pet on both flea, tick, and heartworm prevention to minimize risk of infestation. And cold weather can be painful for your dog. Supplements like Super Joint Enhancer will help aching joints and bones.
With 1-800-PET-MEDS, you get great savings, fast service, and free shipping on all your pet's medications. Order online or call now.
You can trust 1-800-PET-MEDS.
Showcase Furniture Gallery Outlet store in Hillsboro is closing. Now is the time to save big on every item in the store. How big? A $500,000 inventory of bedrooms, sofas, sectionals, and dining rooms all must go. Every entertainment center, recliner, bunk bed, and mattress are all liquidation priced. Right now, every solid oak desk, every chair, and every file cabinet must go. 6-month interest-free financing available on approved credit. Showcase Furniture Gallery Outlet store in Hillsboro is closing. Will you be one of the lucky savers? Only one Westside store has so much for so little. Hurry in now.
How fast is your quarter mile?
Oh, 5 minutes 10?
How fast is your internet?
Oh, well, with Comcast, it's way faster than my old DSL.
They have this thing called Power Boost. Fastest thing I've ever seen. Games, music, videos.
I'm so glad I came back to Comcast.
Comes with free McAfee security.
It's fast and it's safe.
They're making the internet fun again.
I only pay $33 a month for a whole year. I've never had a service disruption either.
So you can keep on running.
Exactly.
Dog the Bounty Hunter and Prisoner, plus Senator John Kerry. Larry King, tonight, 9 Eastern.
There she is, Carol Costello. She's joining us with some other important stories making news. Hi, Carol.
Hello, Wolf. Hello to all of you. Iran's president is heaping praise on the American people in what's being called a letter to the American people. Mahmoud Ahmadinejad calls Americans truth-loving and justice-seeking and says they share many values with Iranians. He urges citizens of the U.S. to reverse what he says are the many foreign policy mistakes of the Bush administration. Zain Verji will have a full report on the 5-page statement in our next hour. A new draft report from the European Union says European countries obstructed an investigation into a U.S. program to transport terrorist suspects to secret prisons. The probes were launched after media reports claimed the CIA had set up such prisons in Poland and Romania. The lawmaker who wrote the report now says all EU nations knew about the prisons and the so-called rendition program. The Justice Department will apologize and pay $2 million to an Oregon lawyer wrongly accused of being involved in the Madrid train bombings 2.5 years ago. Brandon Mayfield was arrested after an FBI fingerprint analysis wrongly concluded that his prints had been found in a van used by the bombers. Mayfield, a Muslim convert, charged that he was the victim of religious profiling. That's a look at the headlines right now, Wolf.
All right, Carol, thanks very much. Let's check back with Jack with the Cafferty file. Jack.
Question this hour is if the Bush administration has lost confidence in Iraqi Prime Minister Nouri al-Maliki, where do we go from here? John writes from Philadelphia, there's only one direction to go in, and that's out. Without an Iraqi government willing to take control of the security situation and rein in the militias, the U.S. mission of stabilizing that country will be impossible no matter how long we stay there. Phil in Providence, Florida, find a way to have the Iraq elected government ask the U.S. to leave and then honor that request. Bill in Michigan, the Bush administration's finally starting to recognize failure, but they're going to blame everyone but themselves. Just watch the finger and stay tuned. Sam in Nebraska, forget al-Maliki, he's history. The real problem is the unintended consequence of providing a blueprint for how easy it is to defeat a modern army and bring down an established state to the billions who have witnessed this debacle on satellite TV and the internet. John writes from San Francisco, well, let's just stay the course. That's worked pretty well these last 3 years. And Anthony in New York, you're doing a heck of a job, Mally. Wolf?
It's funny if it weren't so serious, Jack. Thanks very much. See you in a few minutes. Still to come, a delicate and deadly diplomatic dance in Iraq happening right now. Can President Bush find a way out despite new setbacks? I'll ask a top advisor to the Secretary of State, Condoleezza Rice. That's coming up in our next hour. Also, Congressman Charlie Rangel. And an inconvenient truth. Democrats aren't quite sure whether Al Gore still has presidential ambitions, but they do know he's getting an awful lot of attention. We'll tell you what the latest is. Stay with us.
Closed captioning hours provided by Urinozinc, scientifically formulated for a healthy prostate.
Urinozinc, a patented dietary supplement for the prostate in the U.S., recommended by doctors everywhere. For a healthy prostate, visit your urologist and take Urinozinc, available at these retailers.
1. It simplifies, inspires, clarifies, and keeps things in perfect harmony. One empowers. The Harmony Universal Remote. One remote to replace all others. One single button to activate your entire entertainment system. All you need is one.
Apocalypto means a new beginning. Unfortunately, to have a new beginning, something else has to end. It's a story of one man's heroic struggle to save his family.
Gibbs's Apocalypto, rated R, in theaters December 8th.
My kids call me the finisher.
Finish up in there. Okay.
Finish your homework?
Yes.
Finish your vegetables. Something I thought I was finished with? Managing my acid reflux disease. I thought it was just bad heartburn, but my doctor said over time, stomach acid was damaging the lining of my esophagus. She prescribed Nexium. Said I needed more than heartburn relief. My esophagus needed repair. One prescription Nexium pill a day not only relieves my heartburn, it healed erosions in my esophagus. So I don't just feel better, I am better. My doctor did say headache, diarrhea, and abdominal pain could be side effects of Nexium, and other serious stomach conditions may still exist.
This holiday season, visit purplepill.com for up to $30 off your next prescription of Nexium.
I tell him you shouldn't do anything halfway. Let's finish up.
If you're without prescription coverage and can't afford your medication, AstraZeneca may be able to help.
Good oral health is part of your overall health. Philips Sonicare. Sonicare improves your oral health. Its patented sonic technology creates dynamic cleaning action, getting deep between the teeth and along the gum line for a healthier mouth guaranteed. It makes sense Sonicare is the power toothbrush brand most used and recommended by dental professionals. Sonicare. Simplicity is brushing your teeth and taking care of your body.
CNN Video Podcast, available for download now.
Can I get some reaction?
Knee-jerk reaction.
Can I get some reaction?
When the pain
gets really bad,
watch the grist! Oral jump!
Eureka. Download now at CNN.com.
Americans have been seeing an awful lot of Al Gore lately on the big screen, the small screen, and on magazine covers. But will they see him on the campaign trail in 2008? CNN's Alan Chernoff is following the Gore guessing game for us. What's the latest, Alan?
Well, Wolf, Al Gore is scheduled to be in Los Angeles this evening, appearing on The Tonight Show and being honored at a dinner as one of GQ magazine's Men of the Year. The former vice president wants this to be an Al Gore Christmas. He's promoting the DVD release of his movie An Inconvenient Truth. But there is speculation that Mr. Gore has much more than merely holiday stocking stuffing in mind, that in the back of his mind, perhaps he would like to make another run for the White House. A very hip Al Gore posing on GQ magazine's website, across from Lindsay Lohan. Gore, one of GQ's Men of the Year, bashes President Bush in the magazine with some of his harshest criticism. Damn it, whatever happened to the concept of accountability for catastrophic failure? This administration has been by far the most incompetent, inept, and with more moral cowardice and obsequiousness to their wealthy contributors and obliviousness to the public interest of any administration in modern history and probably in the entire history of the country. Gore friends and former advisors say the tough tone does not indicate he is preparing to run for president.
He's not running for president. I think he would love to have an Academy Award for the best documentary, but I don't think that's the same as running for president.
Gore denied plans to run on CNN's Showbiz Tonight.
I have no intention of being a candidate again.
And he repeated that denial in the GQ interview. I don't plan to run, and I don't expect to run. I appreciate that people think enough of me still to ask that question. It's true that I haven't gotten to the point where I am willing to completely rule it out for all time. Gore's spokesperson told CNN the former vice president had made it clear that he has no intention of running and that his focus is on global warming, not the presidency. But a key player in Democratic presidential politics points out that Al Gore can actually do far better right now in gaining popularity by staying away from politics and really focusing on being a movie star. Wolf?
Alan, thanks very much. Meanwhile, other people close to Al Gore have told CNN there is an increased likelihood that he will throw his hat in the ring, but no decisions have yet been made. And to our viewers, you're in the Situation Room where new pictures and information are arriving all the time. Standing by CNN reporters across the United States and around the world to bring you today's top stories. Happening now, discord, diplomacy, and disclosures, all of it on display regarding the crisis in Iraq. It's midnight in Jordan, where President Bush will discuss ways to resolve Iraq. But a former member of his cabinet says it's time to face facts. That's what's really happening in Iraq right now is, in fact, a civil war. Also, a letter to you from the president of Iran. It's 1:30 a.m. in Tehran, where Mahmoud Ahmadinejad pens a letter praising you as a truth-loving, noble American, but slams the U.S. government as engaging in illegal and immoral behavior. And why would a movie called Happy Feet be infuriating some conservatives and be described by one critic as a, quote, view of hell? I'm Wolf Blitzer. You're in the Situation Room. Right now, furious political protest, an embarrassing public disclosure, a surprising assessment, an all-important meeting put off for a day. We're following several major developments in Iraq right now. Source tells CNN the Iraq Study Group will issue its report on Iraq next Wednesday. It's expected to advise President Bush on how to try to fix the situation over there, and that's also the focus of crisis talks in Jordan. But President Bush's all-important meeting with the Iraqi Prime Minister has now been put off until tomorrow. Nouri al-Maliki skipped a dinner with President Bush and Jordan's King Abdullah. White House officials say it was not related to an embarrassing new memo questioning al-Maliki's ability to run Iraq. That memo, first revealed by the New York Times, questions if al-Maliki is ignorant of what's happening in his own country, is misrepresenting his intentions, or if his capabilities are simply compromised. Meanwhile, the man who was Secretary of State when the war began says Iraq's raging violence now meets the standard of a civil war. And Colin Powell says he might advise the administration to use that term if he were still over at the State Department. Some people partly responsible for Nouri al-Maliki's rise are now protesting the Iraqi government. A key political bloc loyal to the radical Shiite cleric Muqtada al-Sadr have now made a move that further fractures an already delicate coalition. CNN's Arwa Damon has details from Baghdad.
Wolf, the Iraqi Prime Minister Nouri al-Maliki's ability to hold his government together is in question. An army of followers. Radical Shia cleric Muqtada al-Sadr's public speeches rally the masses. The anti-Americans political bloc threw its clout behind Nouri al-Maliki, giving him the prime ministership by a single vote. But Prime Minister Maliki's base is crumbling because he has not canceled plans to meet with President Bush in Jordan.
The Sadr bloc in the House of Representatives and the Sadr movement and ministers are suspending their membership of parliament and the government.
The Sadr bloc holds at least 30 seats in parliament, controls 6 ministries. And if their demands, number one being a timetable for the withdrawal of U.S. troops, are not met, they threaten to fully withdraw from the government. In the struggle to control power, this is al-Sadr's biggest political move. A reminder to Nouri al-Maliki and the United States of the power he wields. Power that is bolstered by the Mehdi militia, thousands of well-armed fighters believed to be behind much of the sectarian violence here. As the strength of the government is publicly being tested, not much is changing in the streets of Iraq. In Baghdad, at least 3 car bombs exploded in a single afternoon. Iraqi police found 52 bodies in 24 hours. And many Iraqis question why they ever went to the polls to vote for this. Few Iraqis think he's the man for the prime minister's job. Now Nouri al-Maliki has to prove to the United States that he can hold it together. Another ally whose confidence in him is shaky. Wolf.
Arwa, thanks very much. Arwa Damon in Baghdad. This political protest comes amid a very embarrassing new revelation. A White House memo questioning the Iraqi prime minister's capabilities and intentions in leading Iraq. Let's get some more details from CNN's Brian Todd. Brian?
Wolf, we're getting a very surprising inside look tonight at the concerns by some top White House officials about the Iraqi prime minister. They come out in a classified memo from National Security Advisor Stephen Hadley, written after his meeting in Iraq with Nouri al-Maliki a few weeks ago. Addressing whether al-Maliki has the ability to bring sectarian violence under control, Hadley writes, quote, Maliki is either ignorant of what is going on, misrepresenting his intentions, or that his capabilities are not yet sufficient to turn his good intentions into action. Was the release of this document a signal to Nouri al-Maliki ahead of his meeting with President Bush a few hours from now in Jordan? Senior White House officials deny leaking Hadley's memo, which was first obtained by the New York Times. One official says this release is, quote, not helpful. A prominent columnist here in Washington agrees with that.
It's hard to imagine something that would be more disruptive to a presidential summit meeting than a document like this, but it does state clearly this strategy premised on Prime Minister Maliki isn't working.
CNN's efforts to reach al-Maliki's office and members of Iraq's parliament for reaction were unsuccessful today. The memo does not leave al-Maliki hanging. It suggests ways he can turn the security situation around in Iraq and ways the U.S. can help him, including possibly moving additional forces into Baghdad. Also important to note, just this morning, top White House officials told us President Bush does have full confidence in the Iraqi prime minister. Wolf?
All right, Brian, thank you. Brian Todd reporting. Let's get some more now on the all-important meeting scheduled for President Bush and the Iraqi prime minister, a meeting that has now been postponed until tomorrow. CNN's Ben Wiedemann is in Amman, Jordan, and he's got, I guess, the latest information, whatever it is, Ben, on why this happened. Nouri al-Maliki, warned by Muqtada al-Sadr and his political allies, don't meet with the president. He's supposed to meet with him and King Abdullah tonight. And guess what? He doesn't meet tonight with the president of the United States, who's flown all the way over to Jordan to meet with him.
Yes, Wolf, well, White House officials insist it was not a snub. They say that basically what happened was the Jordanians and the Iraqis met earlier in the day. They felt there was no need to have Prime Minister Maliki part of this meeting this evening. So that is the case. As far as the White House officials go, I spoke to a senior Jordanian official who told me his non-presence at the palace, King Abdullah's palace, is, quote, no big deal. They will be meeting tomorrow as scheduled, first over breakfast and then a meeting, and then there will be a joint press conference between the Prime Minister and the President. So even though the signals coming out, or rather the messages, are dubious, certainly when you take into account this leaked White House memo, but officials, Jordanian and American, are insisting it's still full speed ahead. Wolf?
All right, we'll check back with you, Ben. Thanks very much. And later this hour, we're going to speak to Congressman Charlie Rangel of New York. He has some very strong views on what the president is up to right now in Iraq. Charlie Rangel standing by to join us live. In the meantime, let's check in with Jack. He's got the Cafferty file. Jack.
Amazing how they can look you right in the eye and say this stuff with a straight face. This was not a snub, according to the White House, and the president has confidence in Nouri al-Maliki. And they expect us to just go, oh, okay, I guess we got it wrong. Things got real nasty at a recent White House reception for freshman Congress members. Newly elected Senator James Webb of Virginia sat out the presidential receiving line. You're supposed to go in those and shake his hand. He also refused to have his picture taken with the president. Webb is a former Secretary of the Navy under President Reagan, and his son is in the Marine Corps. He's serving in Iraq. The Washington Post reported what happened this way. President Bush approached Webb and said, "How's your boy?" Webb answered, "I'd like to get him out of Iraq, Mr. President." President Bush responded, "That's not what I asked you. How's your boy?" And Webb then said, "That's between me and my boy, Mr. President." And that brought an immediate and chilly end to the conversation. 2007 ought to be great fun to watch. It's just getting started. The question is this: will the division over the war in Iraq prevent any kind of bipartisanship when the new Congress convenes in January. Email your thoughts to CaffertyFile@CNN.com or go to CNN.com/CaffertyFile. Wolf.
All right, Jack, thank you. Jack Cafferty will be back shortly. Up ahead, the former Secretary of State Colin Powell now weighing in on a growing debate. Is Iraq now caught up in a full-scale civil war? We're going to have details of what Colin Powell has said today, plus what he's recommending to his old boss, that would be the President of the United States. Also, Iran's president makes his case directly to the American people in an open letter. He's slamming President Bush, praising Americans, and surprisingly making a prediction about the 2008 election here in the United States. Plus, politically correct penguins? We're going to show you why some people are very unhappy with the #1 film at the box office. Stay with us. You're in the situation.
I'm at a school once with something like that on the school.
Harry is a scratcher who keeps getting scratched. He needs the clear solution to a healthier scalp. Maximum Strength Scalpicin with vitamin E. Not a shampoo. Scalpicin stops unhealthy scratching that can cause scalp damage with the itch medicine dermatologists recommend. Ah, the all-day confidence of an itch-free scalp. Scalpicin, the clear solution to a healthier scalp.
When something really fits, you can feel it. Like the fit you get with C-Bond denture adhesive. It's the only wafer that has a gasket effect that locks dentures in place, gives you all-over coverage, all-over hold. No mess, no ooze.
When your dentures really fit, you can feel it.
The adhesive wafer with the gasket fit. C-Bond.
Would you like to refinance your adjustable mortgage to a low fixed rate and pull out some extra cash? Just use our free online e-appraisal calculator to find out how much your home is really worth. Log on or call 1-800-71-FIX, a GMAC company.
When it comes to good health, diabetes is a common enemy.
My mother has diabetes. Will I develop it too?
Can we prevent diabetes?
Are there new medicines available?
For answers, ask your doctor or visit our website. Researchers at America's pharmaceutical companies are working on 77 new medicines to fight diabetes, partnering with healthcare providers to better inform patients about treatment options. Go online and learn, because knowledge is the best medicine of all.
Because financial solutions have no borders or boundaries, UBS operates in only 2 locations. Everywhere. And right next to you. You and us. UBS.
Dirtpick, the greatest adventure hero of our time, confronts the power of the greatest conqueror of all time. From the remarkable imagination of Clive Cussler comes Treasure of Khan. History is about to come alive, and there will be hell to pay, wherever books are sold.
Closed captioning provided by Activon. Apply directly where it hurts.
New from the makers of Head-On. Introducing Activon. Arthritis pain? Activon. Apply directly where it hurts. Activon Arthritis. In stores now.
Iranian President Mahmoud Ahmadinejad is making his case directly to the American people. He has now written an open letter calling on Americans to help change what he characterized as the mistakes of the Bush administration. Our State Department correspondent Zain Verji joining us live from the State Department with details. Quite an extraordinary development, Zain.
Absolutely, Wolf. President Bush has addressed the Iranian people directly before. Today, Iran's president decided it was his turn.
A letter delivered straight from Iran's hardline president to the American people. Mahmoud Ahmadinejad slams the U.S.-led war in Iraq, which he says has left the country in ruins and fueled terrorism. The cost, he says, has been high to Iraqis, but for Americans too, in blood and money. I consider it extremely unlikely that you, the American people, consent to the billions of dollars of annual expenditure from your treasury for this military misadventure. He adds, America could spend its own dollars on its own people, like victims of Hurricane Katrina and Americans living in poverty. Ahmadinejad once again condemns U.S. support for Israel and says U.S. treatment of detainees at Guantanamo Bay and the prisoner abuse at Abu Ghraib has added to America's poor image around the world. He appears to capitalize on the dramatically different political landscape in the U.S., saying, "I hope that in the wake of the midterm elections, the administration of President Bush will have heard and will heed the message of the American people." He warns Democrats if they don't change the U.S. approach, they too will lose power.
I think it is coming at a time when there has been a general consensus reached in Washington that the U.S. has to talk to Iran about Iraq's future.
Most U.S. officials were dismissive of the letter, a similar response to a previous letter Ahmadinejad wrote to President Bush earlier this year.
Although I understand it's only 5 pages and not 18 pages like the last one, so that's a step ahead.
There's really not a lot new here, and certainly it is something of a public affairs or public relations effort.
And we asked the State Department, Wolf, if they had a problem at all with President Ahmadinejad writing a letter directly to the American people. They said no, not at all. He's free to talk to whoever he wants. Wolf?
All right, Zane, thank you. This note to our viewers, Zane's going to have a lot more on this story coming up later tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern on Paula Zahn Now. Zane Verjee, our new State Department correspondent. And for more now, let's go to our chief international correspondent, Christiane Amanpour. She's joining us in London. Christiane, what do you make of this development, the president of Iran writing this open letter to the American people?
Well, a couple of things. I'm told that, you know, when he came to the United States for the UN General Assembly in September, he held a press conference. He did several television interviews. He talked to members of the Council on Foreign Relations. And we're told that at some of those occasions, it was suggested to him that he talk directly to the American people. Now, perhaps people envisioned it somewhat differently, maybe an interview, maybe a speech or something, but he has chosen it to do in letter form. As Zane mentioned, he's done that before to President Bush. He's also done it to the German Chancellor, Angela Merkel. In terms of what's on the cards there, so to speak, nothing hugely new in terms of any policy or proposals. Very similar things that he said before on the key issues. For instance, on Palestine, he called for a Palestinian state and a referendum in all of Israel and the Palestinian territories, which, as you know, is a non-starter. But it's something that's very, very much on the minds of everybody in the Muslim world. On Iraq, he called for the U.S. to pull its troops out, which he said before, and which is Iran's position. No hint of any movement on negotiation or talks with the U.S. about how to resolve that situation there. But clearly, Iran feeling itself a regional power, the rise of Shiism, and he going directly to the American people over the head of the American administration.
The speculation, Christiane, that if the United States starts talking directly, not only with Iran, but Syria, that potentially could improve the situation in Iraq. Is that wishful thinking, or is there something there?
Well, you know that James Baker, who is being deputed by the president to try to figure things out in that region, has said the same thing. He's had talks already with certainly Iranian officials and potentially perhaps Syrian officials, but it's unclear as to where that's going, because the talks, from what I'm told, with Iran center only on Iraq, and with Syria, of course, with this latest issue of the assassination in Lebanon, and with the U.S. being very, very angry about that, and again talking to Syria about its responsibilities in that region. It's a little difficult to see where that's going right now. But Iran, from what I'm being told, has concluded pretty much that there is no more business to be done with the Bush administration, that they are going to have to wait it out and see what happens under a new administration.
Christiane Amanpour is our chief international correspondent. Christiane, thank you for that. Coming up, Colin Powell on the war in Iraq and what he'd recommend right now to the White House. Surprising remarks by the former top general and former Secretary of State. We're going to have details, plus thousands of airline passengers possibly exposed to radiation. It's the latest fallout from a spy mystery full of international intrigue. Stay with us. You're in The Situation.
Turn left. Turn clockwise. Over, turn under, turn left at intersection.
destination ahead.
Navigate your holidays. Now, for a limited time, buy or lease a specially equipped Cadillac, and we'll pay for the navigation system. Season's best from Cadillac.
Be the first to experience one of the most talked about films of the year. Leonardo DiCaprio.
That diamond is my ticket out.
Blood Diamond. Rated R. Special sneak preview Saturday. Everywhere December 8th.
She hungered for something Mediterranean. New, I can't believe it's not butter Mediterranean blend. Made with olive oil and has 70% less saturated fat than butter. New Mediterranean blend.
Turn left.
It's a left up here.
Is that the new BlackBerry from Sprint?
Yeah, fast downloads, GPS, my calendar. I'd be lost without it.
That's cool.
BlackBerry devices powered by Sprint. Now with real-time GPS capability.
So he's really...
Yeah.
It's a left up here.
Get new BlackBerry devices at Sprint or Nextel stores or call 1-8-SPRINT-BIZ and get on the nation's largest mobile broadband network. Sprint. Power up. Tonight on 360, we're live from Amman, Jordan, where President Bush and Iraq's Prime Minister are holding talks. We'll have full coverage of their meetings on 360 tonight, 10 p.m. Eastern.
How fast is your quarter mile?
Oh, 5 minutes 10?
How fast is your internet?
Oh, well, with Comcast, it's way faster than my old DSL.
They have this thing called Power Boost.
Fastest thing I've ever seen. Games, music, videos.
I'm so glad I came back to Comcast.
Comes with free Mac, free security.
It's fast and it's safe.
Well, they're making the internet fun again.
I only pay $33 a month for a whole year.
I've never had a service disruption either.
So you can keep on running.
Exactly.
ESPN Monday Night Football. Available on ESPN HD. ESPN, serving sports fans around the world.
Got the HD TV set? Then get the receiver. Call 1-888-COMCAST for all your high-def action.
CNN Video Podcast. Download now at CNN.com.
This just coming into CNN, word of important developments regarding the planned report from the bipartisan group studying ways to try to fix the situation in Iraq. Our White House correspondent Ed Henry standing by. He's got some new details. Ed, what are you picking up?
Wolf, we do know that the Iraq Study Group will be releasing their report next Wednesday, December 6th. CNN has now learned that the co-chairs of that group, James Baker and Lee Hamilton, are planning to pay a courtesy call to President Bush Wednesday morning before they publicly release this report. Two officials saying that what they'll do is basically go brief the president on their findings in this final report, then go and brief bipartisan congressional leaders on Capitol Hill, then have a press conference somewhere late morning, early afternoon on Wednesday to release all this. The White House, though, being very careful in how they're responding to the upcoming release of this report. We're now getting the first response from the White House spokeswoman Dana Perino saying, quote, as the president often has said, he looks forward to receiving the Iraq Study Group's recommendations and is appreciative of their hard work. The White House treading carefully there because, as you know, the president has ordered up his own review of Iraq policy being coordinated by the National Security Council. So the big question is really whether or not the White House, what they'll do with these recommendations. Will they implement any of the recommendations that come in next week? But I'm being told by one person who was recently interviewed by the Iraq Study Group that in private, contrary to some of the published reports, there's been a lot of consensus emerging and that the Democrats and the Republicans seem to be having a real bipartisan spirit behind closed doors. If there is some sort of a consensus that emerges, that is going to give this commission a lot more credibility. If there's a lot of bipartisanship, it'll make it harder for the White House to ignore their recommendations.
I think that's a good point, because if you get all 10 members of this commission, 5 Democrats, 5 Republicans, all of them highly respected in their own right, and if they come together and issue a unanimous set of recommendations, it's going to be very powerful. It's going to be hard for the president and his team, the vice president, the Secretary of State, the incoming Secretary of Defense, to simply dismiss it. They're going to be under enormous political pressure to respond, I suspect.
You're absolutely right. And James Baker, obviously, as a former Secretary of State, has a lot of clout in the Republican Party and on the international stage. And I'm also told by various officials who have been in the room with Mr. Baker and Mr. Hamilton, James Baker in particular has been very active in these negotiations, in these talks, asking witnesses a lot of questions. This is someone who's very, very engaged. And once this report is released, it's going to go very public with his views on this, as will Lee Hamilton. So there'll be even more pressure on the White House once this report comes out, Wolf.
Next Wednesday, December 6th. That's right, right?
That's right.
All right, we'll be all over that report next Wednesday right here in the Situation Room. Ed, thanks very much. Coming up, civil war and his own regrets. Former Secretary of State Colin Powell weighing in today on the deteriorating situation in Iraq. We're going to have details of what he's saying. You're going to want to hear this. And more on that leaked memo raising serious questions about U.S. confidence in Iraq's prime minister. I'll talk about that and more with the State Department coordinator for Iraq, David Satterfield. He's standing by live. Stay with us. You're in the Situation Room.
So that's the last slide, right?
Right. So I'm hitting send?
Yeah. Wait. Who's presenting in Chicago?
McLean.
McLean?
Yeah, he can do it. Right?
Hi.
Let me guess. McLean's on his own in Chicago? Have a good flight.
We know why you fly. We're American Airlines.
Any global accounting organization must have highly specialized skills, be able to go the distance for their clients, and see the big picture to solve problems before they happen. But what distinguishes the accountants at Grant Thornton is their passion for the business of accounting. Grant Thornton, a passion for the business of accounting.
If there's anything that you want, if there's anything I can do, just call on me and I'll send it along with love from me to you. Just call on me and I'll send it along with love from me to you. With love from me to you.
Here's a radically simple suggestion from eLoan. If your adjustable mortgage rate keeps rising, maybe it's time to call eLoan at 1-800-TRY-eLoan or go to eLoan.com for a fixed-rate mortgage with one low monthly payment. eLoan. Radically simple.
Technology has made your morning easier. Why not your shave? The Philips Norelco Smart Touch XL is designed to shave more, with 3 shaving rings in each shaving head. And it stays on your neck, so even tricky hairs are cut. Simplicity is making every stroke count.
This holiday season, leave the perfect hint for your wish list. Dreams come true during the Lincoln Mercury Wish List event, featuring the redesigned 2007 Lincoln Navigator. The SUV that started it all is once again making its presence known. Find the ultimate holiday gift from the newest family of luxury vehicles during the Lincoln Mercury Wish List event.
Larry King tonight. Dog the Bounty Hunter and reality TV star. Will he be jailed in Mexico for catching a fugitive rapist? Plus, Senator John Kerry. Larry King live tonight, 9 Eastern, only on CNN.
You're in the Situation Room where new pictures and information are arriving all the time, happening now. Meeting postponed and scant explanation. President Bush's high-profile huddle with Iraq's prime minister is put off until tomorrow. And back in Baghdad, power broker and anti-American cleric Muqtada al-Sadr temporarily pulling his supporters from parliament in protest of that meeting. Meanwhile, the violence is spiraling out of control. 52 murdered people were found in the streets of Baghdad today alone. The Pentagon now planning to move thousands of U.S. troops from other parts of Iraq into the capital to try to control the chaos. And in Britain, disturbing new developments in the case of that former Russian spy killed with radioactive poison. British Airways now says traces of that radiation have been found on at least 2 of its planes. The airline is working to contact some 33,000 passengers who may have been exposed over the past few weeks. I'm Wolf Blitzer. You're in the Situation Room. President Bush plans talks on the crisis in Iraq. One person who supported the Iraq invasion is now out with a sobering and surprising assessment of what's happening on the ground right now. Let's turn to our Carol Costello. She's joining us with more, with this latest twist in a story that has so many of them. Carol?
Oh, you're not kidding, Wolf. It is time for the name game again, but this time the label Civil War is coming from none other than Colin Powell, and he said it to an audience in the Middle East, contradicting his old boss at the very same time President Bush is set to convene a summit in Jordan.
Crank up the heat and get ready for a possible Republican civil war, courtesy of one of the most popular statesmen today, Colin Powell. At a leadership conference held in Dubai, chock full of influential Arabs, Powell told the crowd Iraq is in a, quote, civil war. There were no TV cameras inside the conference, but CNN's Hala Garani was there and says Powell added,
if he were still heading the State Department, he would probably recommend to the Bush administration that those terms should be used.
This is the same man who led the march to war in Iraq at the United Nations in 2003.
The facts and Iraq's behavior show that Saddam Hussein and his regime are concealing their efforts to produce more weapons of mass destruction.
But what a difference a few years make. What Powell said today is politically important because it could snowball among Republicans, starting a different kind of civil war on Capitol Hill.
Many Republicans who will now see that Colin Powell has declared this a civil war, and they will feel that now gives them the political cover to speak of it in the same terms.
After all, General Powell has credibility. He led the first Gulf War, and he served as Secretary of State until he left, partly over disagreements over how the war was being waged. As for what his replacement says about Powell's definition of the war now, it isn't likely Condoleezza Rice will recommend her boss call the violence in Iraq a civil war.
It's not what our commanders on the ground say it is, and we frankly are relying on the assessment of those experts that are sitting there in Baghdad.
But if more Republicans start uttering the term civil war, political watchers say things might become so hot for President Bush, he may be forced to stray the course.
Something else, he told our Hala Garani. Mr. Powell continues to regret his statements to the United Nations in 2003. And lest you think his public definition of the war is now setting up a possible presidential run, Colin Powell says no. He has no interest in that, Wolf.
Carol, thanks very much for that story. Let's get some more now on our top story. New concerns about the Iraqi government, its ability and willingness to stop the spiraling violence, and serious questions about its stability. Joining us now to talk about all of that, Ambassador David Satterfield. He's a senior advisor to the Secretary of State, Condoleezza Rice. The coordinator for Iraq spent a lot of time in Baghdad before coming back here to Washington. Ambassador, thanks very much for joining us. It feels, given all these developments, like the bottom could be falling out right now. Why did Nouri al-Maliki refuse to meet with the President of the United States and the King of Jordan tonight as previously scheduled?
Well, this meeting tonight was originally set to be a courtesy call between the three leaders. The Prime Minister had had a good session earlier in the day with King Abdullah of Jordan. He's looking forward to a good meeting, a long meeting tomorrow morning with the President. They all decided it was not necessary to have the call tonight. And I wouldn't read anything more into it than that.
Because as you know, Ambassador, a lot of people are hearing the threats coming from Muqtada al-Sadr and his bloc in Parliament saying he shouldn't even be going to Amman, he shouldn't be meeting with the President. And you know what? I was stunned when I heard that he boycotted this photo opportunity, the three of them supposedly showing that there was some solidarity there, and all of a sudden Nouri al-Maliki boycotting this meeting.
Well, he's not boycotting the meeting. It was agreed that the meeting would not take place. The meeting wasn't necessary. And with respect to Muqtada al-Sadr, his threats or the action taken by his parliamentarians, they haven't had any impact on the Prime Minister's willingness to come to Jordan in the first instance or to meet with the President in the second. It's going ahead regardless.
It looks like, and you spent a lot of time in Baghdad, risking your life there. It looks like this guy, Muqtada al-Sadr, who hates the United States, who has American blood on his hands, according to Lieutenant General Ricardo Sanchez, the first U.S. military commander there. It looks like he's calling the shots of Nouri al-Maliki's government.
But he's not. If he were calling the shots, the Prime Minister wouldn't be in Jordan. He wouldn't be seeing the President. He's there, he's had a good meeting with the king, and he's going to have a good meeting with the president in the morning.
All right, we'll see if he shows up for that meeting in the morning. Here's what Stephen Hadley, the president's national security advisor, wrote in this November 8th memo to the president about Nouri al-Maliki. The reality on the streets of Baghdad suggests Maliki is either ignorant of what is going on, misrepresenting his intentions, or that his capabilities are not yet sufficient to turn his good intentions into action. Those are strong words about a guy who apparently doesn't have a whole lot of power in Iraq right now.
The president supports the prime minister. The president's affirmed that in many meetings, in many conferences that they've had. He's going to do it tomorrow. The president knows the prime minister wants greater control over the Iraqi security forces. He wants to see a transition to an Iraqi lead on the political as well as on the military front, and that's something we've been discussing, we'll continue to discuss. The president wants to hear from the prime minister. Where's the prime minister going on national reconciliation, on governance issues, on the political track? This is going to be a very thorough review, but it's done in the capacity of a sovereign leader whom we respect, whom we want to help succeed.
It sounds, though, that Stephen Hadley, and I carefully read that memo not once, not twice, but 3 times, it sounds like he's not so sure that Nouri al-Maliki really wants a democracy embracing the Shia, the Sunni, the Kurds, all of the groups of Iraq, or he simply is trying to stack the deck and create a Shiite-led theocracy aligned with Iran.
If we had concluded that Prime Minister Maliki was following a sectarian agenda, the president would not have traveled to Amman. He would not be meeting with him. We see him as a national leader, but we see him as a national leader who has capacity issues. That's what we are trying to help on. That's what we're discussing.
What does that mean, capacity issues?
On the security side and on the political side, the Prime Minister needs help. General Casey, Ambassador Khalilzad, their senior leaders on the Iraqi side have been talking about how to help build capable, effective Iraqi forces, how to do it quickly, how to get them into the fight. On the political side, the Prime Minister needs help and support. We're trying to work with him. We're trying to work with other Iraqi leaders to provide the kind of help he needs, the kind of capabilities he needs.
We saw the Iraqi President Jalal Talabani show up in Tehran for meetings with the Supreme Ayatollah as well as with President Ahmadinejad. He himself wrote a letter to the American people today basically denouncing the U.S. government. What's your message to the Iranian people in response?
The message to the Iranian government, to the Iranian people is this. Iraq needs good neighbors, and that includes Iran. Iraq and we both understand the important role that Iran historically has had with respect to Iraq. But it's a role that needs to be respectful of Iraqi sovereignty and independence. It needs to refrain from meddling in Iraqi internal affairs, and above all, it needs to stop, Iran needs to stop, the provision of lethal training and assistance to elements engaged in violence in Iraq.
We had to leave it there, unfortunately. Ambassador David Satterfield's got one of the toughest jobs in the U.S. government. Appreciate your coming on the program, sir.
Thank you.
Still to come, Iran's president saying the money the United States is spending on the Iraq war would be better off spent at home. I'll talk about that with Congressman Charlie Rangel. He'll soon have a very powerful say on spending when he takes over as chairman of the House Ways and Means Committee. Plus, most audience love it, but some critics say the new hit animated movie Happy Feet is liberal propaganda. CNN's Jeannie Mose standing by to show us why. Stay with us. You're in the Situation Room.
Yeah. I can hear you, buddy.
Have you stopped sleeping as well as you used to? Do you wake up before you want to and then just toss and turn? Maybe it's time to ask your doctor if Lunesta's right for you. For a limited time, you're invited to take the Lunesta 7-Night Challenge. Ask your doctor how to get 7 nights of Lunesta absolutely free and see if it's the sleep aid you've been looking for. Non-narcotic Lunesta helps you fall asleep quickly, so take it right before bed. Be sure you have at least 8 hours to devote to sleep before becoming active, because Lunesta will help you sleep all through the night. Until you know how you react to Lunesta, you should not drive or operate machinery. Do not take Lunesta with alcohol. Most sleep medicines carry some risk of dependency. Side effects may include unpleasant taste, headache, drowsiness, and dizziness. Hurry! The Lunesta 7-Night Challenge is only available for a limited time. Get your coupon at lunesta.com and ask your doctor today.
At eHarmony, you don't search for a match. We bring highly compatible matches to you based on 29 proven dimensions of compatibility. Log on to eHarmony.com and get your personality profile, a $50 value, free.
Are you struggling every month to pay your mortgage, your credit cards, car loans, and other bills?
We can show you how to lower your total monthly payments and guarantee you the lowest rate and fee, even if you have a credit problem. Call 1-800-71-FIXED.
Let me tell you about a very important phone call I made. When I got my Medicare card, I realized I needed an AARP Medicare Supplement insurance card too.
One simple call gave me the chance to talk with a personal health insurance advisor
who answered all my questions about Medicare supplement plans.
If you're already on or eligible for Medicare, call now to find out how an AARP Medicare Supplement Insurance Plan, insured by United Healthcare Insurance Company, helps you pay some of the 20% of your medical expenses not covered by Medicare Part B. That can save you thousands of dollars. These are the only Medicare supplement insurance plans exclusively endorsed by AARP, a name you trust. When you call now, we'll send you this free information kit, plus this free guide to understanding Medicare.
I can keep my own doctor and choose my own hospital.
and I don't need a referral to see a specialist.
Call 1-800-673-4168 now. A personal health insurance advisor is waiting.
No matter what kind of business you run, you'll run it better with the new Discover Business Card, the right tool for your business. 5% cashback bonus on office supplies, 2% cashback bonus on gas, fee-free purchase checks that earn rewards. The new Discover Business Card. It works. Get 0% intro APR on every purchase for 9 months. Call 1-888-4094-BIZ to apply right now.
Closed captioning hours provided by Glove. The Glove makes a great gift.
Every year, there are thousands of reported chimney fires. Protect your home with CSL Creosote Sweeping Log. Burn just once every 60 fires. CSL, the log with the chimney sweep on the box.
Welcome back. Talks delayed, troops redeployed, the government in crisis and violence seemingly without end in Iraq. The crisis in Iraq appearing to reach a new level today. Joining us now to talk about that, Democratic Congressman Charlie Rangel of New York. He's in line to become chairman of the powerful House Ways and Means Committee when the next Congress convenes in January. Congressman, thanks very much for coming in. I'm not going to call you Mr. Chairman yet, but pretty soon that will be the way we will refer to you. Jimmy Carter was here in the Situation Room yesterday, the former president of the United States, and I asked him about how big a blunder the president made in going into Iraq. Listen to this exchange.
It's going to prove, I believe, to be one of the greatest blunders that American presidents have ever made.
Bigger than Vietnam?
I think it's going to be a close call, but perhaps much more vividly known by the rest of the world than Vietnam was.
What do you think? Do you agree with the former president?
I could not agree with him more. As a matter of fact, I was hoping that in the interview with Colin Powell, he might share with us what information did they give to him to allow him, with all of the credibility that he used to have, to go into Iraq. Every reason that the president gave to Congress and the American people have fallen through. And the suspicion is that he and others may have known that the facts were not true.
Well, wait a minute. You're not accusing Colin Powell of deliberately lying to the American public. I assume, knowing him as I do for so many years, that he honestly believed when he was told at the CIA that there were weapons of mass destruction stockpiles, that he said that before the UN Security Council. I have to assume he honestly believed it.
I'm not going to argue with that, but his chief of staff said publicly, and has written in a book, that was his worst day, sitting with his boss at the UN.
But don't you believe that Colin Powell is a man of integrity that believed what he said?
Yes, of course I do. But if somebody did that to me, with whatever little integrity I had, and my chief of staff was there obviously telling me that that was not factual, I would be outraged. And so I'm not challenging the honesty of Colin Powell, but I question why there hasn't been more outrage, especially that now he's describing as a civil war. The question is, as former President Carter said, how could one man and his cabinet bring this great country into this disaster, this cesspool? You can call it a civil war, but it certainly is not a liberation force.
So let me ask, you're going to be in the majority now in the United States House of Representatives. If the situation continues to deteriorate and emerge as a Vietnam, where helicopters will be going into the U.S. Embassy to try to whisk remaining American troops out, what are you going to do about that as the majority in the U.S. Congress?
Let me make it clear. Democrats may be in the majority in the Congress, but we are not a part of the executive branch. The president has heard the American people loud and clear. They're against the war. I hope this Iraqi study group reflects that type of feeling. I'm certain it will. But I'm optimistic that, you know, I'm a little skeptical that the president is over there talking Malaki and going to Jordan. He ought to stay at the White House and let the diplomats try to work this out. We have a heck of a wonderful opportunity with peace being negotiated between the Palestinians and Israel to get the Jordanians, the Saudi Arabians, and the Egyptians.
But, Congressman, you know a lot of Americans are going to say, look, we elected these Democrats to be the majority in the House and the Senate, in large part, and I think you'll agree, because of the war in Iraq, the unhappiness, the anger here in the United States, and they're going to rely on you to try to do something if the policies don't change. Here's one option that's on the table, the power of the purse, something that you can control as the majority in the House of Representatives. Is that something you're going to tamper with?
Of course not. We would never do anything that would jeopardize the safety of our brave young women over there. The biggest tool that we have at this point in time is not the power of the purse, but the power of the subpoena. You know, we have never had oversight of any of these things that's been said and done to get us into this dilemma that we find ourselves in. And so when people come down under oath, you won't have to worry about where we got this bad information.
Who do you want to subpoena?
Anybody that's telling us things that just doesn't make any truth. But I don't think we have to go there. They're falling apart. The president's falling apart. He's calling upon his father's friends. And we may get some sanity out of this if the president stays at home and let Condoleezza Rice and maybe bring back Colin Powell and use Jim Baker. You know, it's time that we bring in these moderate Arab country leaders, and at least we're talking to them. This is their struggle, too. It's not just the United States and Israel.
Let me pick your brain on this extraordinary letter that the president of Iran, Mahmoud Ahmadinejad, has now written to the American people. That would be you and me among them. He writes this, among other things. Now that Iraq has a constitution and an independent assembly and government, would it not be more beneficial to bring the U.S. officers and soldiers home and to spend the astronomical U.S. military expenditures in Iraq for the welfare and prosperity of the American people? It's interesting that he's now weighing in on this debate here in the United States.
Well, he couldn't be more right. You know, we've lost 3,000 men over there, 20,000 wounded American men and women, hundreds of thousands of Iraqis. I'm not saying just close it down and come home, but it's really time to bring in those people from the region who understands the culture and the difference that these people have, and to let them stop holding our coats, but to get involved in trying to find some peace there. I'm anxiously waiting for this Iraqi study report, because I know it's not saying what the president is saying. We cannot stay there until victory is won, and we have no clue as to what the victory is, and we cannot afford to stay the course.
Next Wednesday, it's coming out. Lee Hamilton, a man you know well, you served in the House with him for a long time, and James Baker, 5 Democrats, 5 Republicans, and we're told they're getting close to a unanimous set of recommendations, but we'll find out next Wednesday. Charlie Rangel, always good of you to come into the Situation Room.
Thank you, Wolf.
See you soon. And just ahead, it's made for kids, but some parents simply don't like what they're seeing. Our Jeannie Mose shows us why they're so unhappy with the hit movie Happy Feet. And Jack Cafferty is wondering, will the division over the war prevent any sort of bipartisanship with the new Congress? Jack's standing by with the Cafferty File. We'll be right back.
Stop. Back up. Turn right. Turn right. Straight ahead. Turn left at intersection. Destination ahead.
Navigate your holidays. Now, for a limited time, buy or lease a specially equipped Cadillac, and we'll pay for the navigation system. Season's best from Cadillac.
Why aren't middle-class wages going up? Why does it take 2 incomes just to get by?
Lou Dobbs tonight. CNN coming up next.
It's time for Answers.
Town & Country asks, do you know what certified pre-owned means? It means you'll save when you buy your Chrysler, Jeep, or Dodge and get the most comprehensive Daimler Chrysler factory-backed warranty. Only a 5-star dealer can offer this warranty, and TNC is your 5-star dealer. In other words, it's brand spanking used. So what are you driving? To find out about certified pre-owned vehicles, visit Town & Country Chrysler Jeep in Milwaukee and Town & Country Dodge in Wilsonville. Drive home happy.
Here are some helpful tips for pet owners from 1-800-PET-MEDS, America's largest pet pharmacy.
During winter months, be sure to keep your pet on both flea, tick, and heartworm prevention to minimize risk of infestation. And cold weather can be painful for your dog. Supplements like Super Joint Enhancer will help aching joints and bones.
With 1-800-PET-MEDS, you get great savings, fast service, and free shipping on all your pet's medications. Order online or call now.
You can trust 1-800-PET-MEDS.
It's a whole lot of fun.
Cars are fun. Shopping for them should be too. VHICS.com. Just click autos on Comcast.net.
The Rose Garden comes alive once again for this year's Pape Jam. It's the Pac-10 against the Big 12 as the Oregon Ducks take on the Nebraska Cornhuskers, followed by the Oregon Women and the Colorado Buffaloes. It all starts at noon on December 9th at the Rose Garden. Get your tickets today at the Rose Quarter box office, participating Safeway stores, ComcastTix.com, or call 877-789-ROSE, or visit rosequarter.com. The Oregon Ducks and the Pape Jam, a Portland tradition.
Dog the Bounty Hunter and Prisoner, plus Senator John Kerry. Larry King, tonight, 9 Eastern.
Check back with Jack Cafferty for the Cafferty File. Jack.
Democratic Senator-elect Jim Webb from Virginia and President Bush had a tense exchange during a recent White House reception. It was not pretty. Webb's son is a Marine serving in Iraq. The question this hour is, will the division in this country over the war prevent any sort of bipartisanship with the new Congress? George in New Hampshire writes, I don't want bipartisanship. I, like many other people who voted, want Bush's head on a platter. The GOP proved that you can impeach a president for stepping on a crack in a sidewalk on a Tuesday in a snowstorm in July in Florida, as long as you have the majority. My Republican friends laughed then. They're not laughing now. This is the most criminal president in history. Investigate, prove, and off to Guantanamo Bay for all the Bushies. Sally in Virginia, thank you, Senator Webb, for not legitimizing this illegitimate president. I'm glad you got my vote. I don't hope for bipartisanship in the next Congress. I hope for progress in getting the Republicans under control so something good can come out of our government for a change. What better way to start than to take away the respect Bush does not deserve? More Congress members should do likewise. Amy writes from Virginia, the new voice in Congress isn't left or right, it's military. Jim Webb is just one example, and I'm proud to have him as my senator. Both parties have people in Congress with actual experience in the military and personal connections to the human beings that Bush administration is treating as cannon fodder. N.A. writes people want civility in government. While Webb has every right to oppose the president on any issue, how hard is it to be civil? If he doesn't want his son in Iraq, why did he volunteer? What's the point in such a political dialogue? Who does it help? It only confirms how ugly and petty politics can be at the highest levels. Vicky in Illinois, I don't know about bipartisanship, but I hope whatever Jim Webb has is contagious. Gary in New York, bipartisanship, cooperation, I'm sure you're kidding. It's going to be a bloodbath, and not since the reign of Louis XVI has any group in power deserved it more. If you didn't see your email here, you can go to cnn.com/Cafferty File and read some more of them there. Wolf.
A lot of our viewers do exactly that, Jack. See you back here in an hour. Honeybees trained to sniff out suicide bombers. It sounds like the stuff of sci-fi, but scientists may be closer than you think. Our internet reporter Jackie Schechner standing by with details. Jackie?
Well, if honeybees have an extraordinary sense of smell, and there's a small British company called Sentinel that is training honeybees to sniff out explosives. Here's how their prototype works. The trained bees are tucked safely into this cartridge here. There's 3 of them, and then this cartridge is put right here into the box. On the left-hand side, there is a vacuum, and this is where the scent comes in. Now, the honeybees that are trained to smell explosives, if they sniff out something, will basically extend what's like their tongues, and that's what you see here. The box is hooked up to a computer, and that records all of the information. Now, the Department of Defense here in the U.S. is putting money into this project, and the Los Alamos National Laboratory is doing all of the research. They say that these bees are very reliable, this works very well, and they're actually very resilient. It only takes a couple of hours to train them, and they can go on working for a couple of days. Now, the British company Sentinel says if the military signs on for this project, it would be commercially available in about a year, and the bee biologists say that this kind of stuff could be used in Iraq to sniff out suicide bombers, car bombs. It could even be used in airports here in the United States. Wolf.
Thanks very much, Jackie, for that. Up next, penguins and politics colliding in a hit animated movie. CNN's Jeannie Most shows us why Happy Feet has some people very unhappy. Stay with us. You're in the Situation Room.
I love you. Thank you.
Listen.
Bon voyage.
Happy anniversary.
Happy birthday. You're the best.
Congratulations. Just a little something.
Happy birthday.
Thanks,
Have a good trip. Felicitaciones.
I'm gonna miss you.
When you have something important to say it in black and white.
Everything you're looking at easily fits into this Pods brand container. It's amazing. So call Pods right now to solve your moving and storage nightmares and stop paying expensive storage facilities. We'll deliver a Pods brand container to your home or business. Pack your container and keep it, or we'll pick it up and store it for you and re-deliver at your convenience.
I'd recommend them to anyone.
Call Pods right now, then relax.
While oil and natural gas earnings compare with other major industries, we've reinvested more than $1 trillion since 1992, part of an ongoing commitment using advanced technology to find new sources of energy and protect our environment. We'll need 50% more energy by 2030, and we're working to ensure reliable supplies to keep America going strong. Log on and let us show you more. A message from America's oil and natural gas industry.
Man has always been fascinated with traveling back in time. Well, now Sprint has actually moved the unlimited calling time back 2 hours from 9 p.m. to 7. It's science fiction meets cold, hard economics. Stupid time machine.
Switch to Sprint and get unlimited calls starting at 7 p.m. Sprint. Power up. Hurry into a Sprint store and start your holiday shopping early. Choose from our newest lineup of slim, stylish phones so you can take care of everyone on your holiday gift list. Pick up the red Moto Razr and you can get powerful features like live TV, wireless music downloads, GPS, and the power to give back. Because when you purchase the red Moto Razr at a Sprint store, a contribution will be made to help eliminate AIDS in Africa. The power to give the ultimate gift. Sprint. Power up.
Controversy is growing over the #1 movie in the country. CNN's Jeannie Most explains why some people are so unhappy with Happy Feet.
Pete is suffering hard.
You know things are going downhill. Dancing penguin causes a political flap.
They're foisting this on my kids. Tell me about it first, okay? So I know I'm walking in to propaganda.
Not everyone's happy with the blockbuster Happy Feet. Crappy feet, one critic called it. Some conservatives say it's dark, disturbing environmental propaganda, pitting cute penguins against big bad humans in the fishing industry.
An animated version of an inconvenient truth.
But can you really compare Al Gore's global warming documentary to Happy Feet?
I half expected to see an animated version of Al Gore pop up.
In Al Gore's film, glaciers crack. But the only cracking in Happy Feet is caused by bad vocals.
Yeah, I heard an animal once do that, but then they rolled him over, he was dead.
There is no global warming in Happy Feet, where the director readily admits to amplifying environmental themes. The penguins are starving because of overfishing. Humans are called aliens.
Have you
Ever been abducted by aliens?
Check out the six-pack holder around his neck.
It is my sacred talisman.
It ends up almost choking him to death. Even the New York Times describes the movie as a view of hell as seen through the eyes and ears of creatures we foolishly, tragically call dumb.
Yo, Penguino, I'm the genius Ramon.
That's the voice of Robin Williams portraying one of the lead penguins. The movie's gotten rave reviews.
I just think conservatives are, still cranky from the election. When they pick a fight with this animated penguin, it doesn't make any sense.
One critic even suggested there's a gay subtext. Mumbles is an outcast because he dances but can't sing.
But it just ain't penguin, okay?
Don't ask me to change, Paul, because I can't.
Be gone!
But don't expect Mumbles to join the ranks of actual gay penguin couples. Happy Feet defenders say he's no different than Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer.
Of the 50,000 things affecting America's youth in negative ways today, I don't think the Penguin movie is probably on that 50,000.
As for kids who have seen the movie...
What was the movie about, James?
Happy Feet. I love you. I love you.
Happy Feet seems to have gone to their heads.
Show me what the penguins do.
But those Happy Feet are stepping on conservative toes. Jeannie Moe, CNN, New York.
Okay.
Thank you, Jeannie Most, for that. Remember, we're here in the Situation Room weekday afternoons from 4 to 6 p.m. Eastern, back in 1 hour at 7 p.m. Eastern. Until then, thanks very much for joining us. I'm Wolf Blitzer in Washington. Lou Dobbs getting ready to start his program. Lou?
Well, thank you. Tonight, President Bush and the Iraqi Prime Minister are preparing for talks in Jordan that could determine whether the United States succeeds or fails in Iraq. We'll have reports tonight from Amman, Baghdad, and the Pentagon. The president is also determined to push his quiet agenda to create a North American Union of the United States, Mexico, and Canada without the approval of the people or the Congress. We'll have that special report and a great deal more straight ahead here tonight.
This is Lou Dobbs Tonight. News, debate, and opinion for Wednesday, November 29th. Live in New York, Lou Dobbs.
Good evening, everybody. President Bush and the Iraqi Prime Minister tomorrow will hold talks in Jordan that could determine whether Iraq slides into an all-out civil war. Their talks come amid increasing signs that the Iraqi Prime Minister has lost control of his country to radical Islamists, insurgents, and terrorists. U.S. officials say the outcome of this war depends on whether the United States can win the battle for Baghdad. The U.S. military today announced it's sending at least 3 more battalions to Baghdad. Ben Wiedemann reports tonight from Amman, Jordan, on the high stakes in tomorrow's meeting between President Bush and the Iraqi Prime Minister. Arwa Damon tonight reports from Baghdad on a new revolt that threatens the future of the entire Iraqi government. And Jamie McIntyre reporting from the Pentagon tonight on the military's decision to send thousands more troops to Baghdad. We turn first to Ben Wiedemann with the president tonight in Jordan. Ben?
Yes, Lou. Well, President Bush was supposed to meet with the Iraqi Prime Minister Nouri al-Maliki, but the meeting was canceled. American and Jordanian officials say it was not a snub, just a question of scheduling. Whether you believe that or not, it is not an auspicious start to a Mideast mission that was, from the beginning, a tall order.
It would hardly seem like the best time to visit the region. President Bush's grand ambitions for the Middle East lie in disarray. In Iraq, what was supposed to be a beacon of democracy has become a black hole of sectarian violence and anarchy. The administration still insists it's not civil war, though what Iraqi officials describe sounds almost as bad.
This is a war between the extremists and the moderates in the whole region, and that's why it's concentrating its effort in Iraq. If they lose in the whole region. If they win, God forbid, they will disrupt the whole region again.
The man President Bush has come to meet, Iraqi Prime Minister Nouri al-Maliki, rests uneasy in the seat of power. Ministers loyal to radical Shiite cleric Muqtada Sadr have suspended their involvement in Maliki's government to protest his meeting with President Bush. And adding insult to injury, a leaked White House memo by National Security Advisor Stephen Hadley questions Maliki's ability to rule. In the memo, Hadley writes, Maliki is either ignorant of what is going on, misrepresenting his intentions, or his capabilities are not yet sufficient to turn his good intentions into action. Perhaps glimpsing post-pullout reality, Iraqi President Jalal Talabani is now rubbing shoulders with the leaders of Iran, who seem as determined as ever, threats of sanctions notwithstanding, to pursue a nuclear option, flushed with growing regional clout. In Lebanon, the U.S.-backed government is under siege.
And that government is being undermined, in my opinion, by extremist forces encouraged out of Syria and Iran. Why? Because a democracy will be a major defeat for those who articulate extremist points of view.
Across the region, hopes for a blossoming of democracy have been dashed as almost every experiment in political liberalization in Egypt, in Iraq, in the Palestinian territories has empowered or emboldened Islamic hardliners.
Lou, there will be a meeting, of course, tomorrow morning between Maliki and President Bush. First they'll have breakfast, then they'll have a closed meeting, and then a press conference. Interestingly enough, the Iraqi Prime Minister has announced that as soon as he gets back to Baghdad, he'll hold another press conference. It'll be interesting to hear what he has to say. Lou?
Ben, thank you very much. Ben Wiedemann. As Ben just reported today, a clear demonstration of the Iraqi Prime Minister's political weakness and his opposition. Radical Islamist lawmakers in Baghdad today suspended their support for al-Maliki's government to protest his meeting with the president, now scheduled for tomorrow. The Iraqi parliament has a total of 275 seats, including Shia, Sunnis, and Kurds. The most powerful bloc among the Shia is the United Iraqi Alliance. It's led by Prime Minister al-Maliki and has 128 of those seats. 30 members of that bloc walked out today, all of them controlled by and supporters of the anti-American cleric Muqtada al-Sadr. Al-Sadr also controls 6 of the 32 government ministries, including health and transportation. They also walked out today. Arwa Damon has our report from Baghdad. Arwa?
Lou, Iraqi Prime Minister Nouri al-Maliki's ability to hold his government together is in question. An army of followers. Radical Shia cleric Muqtada al-Sadr's public speeches rally the masses. The anti-Americans political bloc threw its clout behind Nouri al-Maliki, giving him the prime ministership by a single vote. But Prime Minister Maliki's base is crumbling because he has not canceled plans to meet with President Bush in Jordan.
The Sadr bloc in the House of Representatives and the Sadr movement and ministers are suspending their membership of parliament and the government.
The Sadr bloc holds at least 30 seats in parliament, controls 6 ministries. And if their demands, number one being a timetable for the withdrawal of U.S. troops, are not met, they threaten to fully withdraw from the government. In the struggle to control power, this is al-Sadr's biggest political move. A reminder to Nouri al-Maliki and the United States of the power he wields. Power that is bolstered by the Mehdi militia, thousands of well-armed fighters believed to be behind much of the sectarian violence here. As the strength of the government is publicly being tested, not much is changing in the streets of Iraq. In Baghdad, at least 3 car bombs exploded in a single afternoon. Iraqi police found 52 bodies in 24 hours. And many Iraqis question why they ever went to the polls to vote for this. Few Iraqis think he's the man for the prime minister's job. Now Nouri al-Maliki has to prove to the United States that he can pull it together. Another ally whose confidence in him is shaky. Lou?
Arwa Damon from Baghdad. The U.S. military now sending as many as 20,000 more of our troops to the Iraqi capital. The reinforcements are the latest sign the Iraqi government is unable to secure its own capital without U.S. support. Jamie McIntyre reports from the Pentagon. Jamie?
Well, Lou, as Iraqi forces have failed to step up, once again, U.S. forces have to step in. U.S. commanders, tired of waiting for Iraqi battalions to show up in Baghdad, have instead decided to order additional U.S. troops into the Iraqi capital. Pentagon sources say that 3 battalions of U.S. Army troops will be moving into the Iraqi capital. That is about 1,600 troops. Even with more than 300,000 Iraqi troops in uniform, the Pentagon says many are unwilling to leave their home areas and others are just unsuitable for work in Baghdad.
There are some units around Iraq that, if moved into Baghdad, would not be helpful. If a Sunni unit somewhere else in Iraq moved into a Shia neighborhood, or a Shia unit someplace else in Iraq moved into a Sunni neighborhood, is not going to help the problem.
Chairman of the Joint Chiefs also dismissed a report from ABC News suggesting that he was considering turning over the insurgent stronghold of Al Anbar province to Iraqi security forces and moving the Marines there to Baghdad. General Pace says he's been meeting with colonels and captains just back from Iraq, and while they're considering almost everything, he said abandoning Anbar province is not on the table. Lou?
Thank you very much, Jamie McIntyre from the Pentagon. Well, in Iraq, 2 more of our troops have been killed. 1 soldier killed in Al Anbar province, another soldier killed north of Baghdad. 64 of our troops have been killed so far this month. 2,884 of our troops have been killed since the war began. 21,921 of our troops wounded. 9,847 of them so seriously they could not return to duty. Our troops still have not found a missing U.S. pilot whose F-16 fighter jet crashed northwest of Baghdad Monday. The Air Force today said the pilot was operating out of Balad Air Base north of the Iraqi capital. Officials believe the pilot was probably killed in that crash. Large numbers of Iraqis are also being killed in this war, of course, as many as 3,700 killed last month alone. Former Secretary of State Colin Powell today said Iraq's violence has now escalated to the level of civil war. Powell, of course, a prominent supporter of the president's decision to go to war. Powell went to the United Nations in February of 2003 to argue that Saddam Hussein possessed weapons of mass destruction, an assertion that, of course, later turned out to be wrong. The Iraq Study Group will issue its report on the future direction of American strategy in Iraq 1 week from today. The bipartisan group is led by former Secretary of State James Baker. The leading Democrat on the group, Lee Hamilton, spoke just a short time ago.
Let me say 2 things about the Iraq Study Group. Number one, early this afternoon, we reached a consensus. And number 2, we will announce that on December 6th. That's all I can say.
Again, that report will be released next Wednesday, 1 week from today. Iranian President Ahmadinejad today offered his opinion of what the United States should do in Iraq. Ahmadinejad wrote a letter, as he styled it, to the American people, saying the United States should withdraw from Iraq. Ahmadinejad also tried to play the role of political analyst for the United States, telling congressional Democrats that they will, quote, be held to account by the people and by history, end quote, if they do not change U.S. policy, the responsibility for which they now have a share. The U.S. Ambassador to the United Nations, John Bolton, was not impressed at all.
With respect to President Ahmadinejad's letter, which I understand from press reports is addressed to the American people, this American person hasn't seen it yet. And I know you and the press have it, so maybe that's who he's really addressing the letter to. But I won't comment on it till I see it, although I understand it's only 5 pages and not 18 pages like the last one, so that's a step ahead.
And unlike that last letter, a very important issue was missing from the Iranian president's letter, making no mention at all of Iran's nuclear weapons program or proposed sanctions against Iran if they continue to proceed with their nuclear weapons program. Still ahead here, the illegal alien lobby is now threatening the U.S. Congress and the American people with massive new street demonstrations and protests. Tonight we'll have a special report on the illegal alien movement's challenge to the new democratically elected Congress. Also, the Bush administration is determined to create a North American Union without consultation or approval of the people of this country or our Congress. We'll have that story and the risk to our democracy from e-voting, the looming threat to the next presidential election from paperless voting, the subject of our next special report. Stay with us.
People love their hover-round power chairs.
You made me love you.
I didn't want to do it. I didn't want to do it.
I get embarrassed when people say they love me after I show them how much fun it is to get their independence back.
I love getting out of my house again, and boy, is it easy.
You made me love you.
Hi, I'm Tom Cruise, inventor of the Hover-Round. I can't sing, but I can guarantee you'll love what you can do in your Hover-Round.
I'm amazed at the people who say they love us just because we got them their Hover-Round at little or no cost.
I love Hover-Round because it did not cost me 1 penny.
Hover-round is like riding around in an easy chair with wheels. You made me love you, and all the time you knew it.
People just love the round design. We say it's round for a reason, so you can turn and get through the narrowest door or hallway.
I love how easy it is to maneuver. To find out more, call this number to get your free Hover-Round information kit.
You'll also love Hover-Round's exclusive pressure release system with lumbar support, 4-inch thick foam, and comfort ride inner springs.
It's time you fell in love with a Hover-Round and learned how to be independent again. Call this number to get your free Hover-Round information kit, which includes a free video and a free test drive certificate. A Hover-Round mobility specialist will also do a personal evaluation to find the perfect model for you. Call today and you'll also get this special comparison guide that tells you how to choose the power chair that's right for you. There's no obligation. Call now to learn how you may get your Hover-Round for little or no cost.
You made me love you.
Call 1-800-377-9449 today to get your free Hover-Round information kit. That's 1-800-377-9449.
When belief is worth dying for, when faith rocks civilization to its core and religion becomes revolution. A special CNN presents After Jesus, Wednesday, December 20th.
A new push tonight to grant amnesty to millions of illegal aliens in this country, and new leadership in Mexico going to office later this week. Plans for a North American Union expected to move ahead without congressional or, of course, the approval of the American people. Casey Wine tonight reports on amnesty advocates pressuring the new Congress to quickly pass so-called comprehensive immigration reform. That's right, here we go again. And Christine Romans reports on the effort to create the Security and Prosperity Partnership that many call a North American Union. We begin with Casey Wine in Los Angeles tonight. Casey?
Lou, the streets of Los Angeles and other U.S. cities could soon be filled with demonstrators demanding amnesty for illegal aliens. Some organizers of this spring's protests in favor of illegal alien amnesty say they may take to the streets again if the new Democratic-controlled Congress does not pass an immigration reform bill that includes amnesty within its first 100 days in power.
I certainly believe that 100 days are plenty to have Congress act on the immigration issue. The First Amendment gives the right to petition the government, and I think that civic participation is very important, and I think that people will be poised to go back and again ask for action.
Solorzano says the perfect storm now exists, with President Bush, Republican Party Chair Mel Martinez, and top Democratic lawmakers all favoring a path to citizenship for millions of illegal aliens. However, the House Democratic leadership has failed to include illegal immigration or border security among its top legislative priorities. New Senate leader Harry Reid says an immigration bill will be among the first 10 introduced in the Senate.
It was tremendously heartwarming to see how the Hispanic community throughout America responded to what we tried to do, we Democrats tried to do. We won big time with Hispanics. We won because they accepted what we were trying to do, comprehensive immigration reform.
Reid says he wants a guest worker program and a path to legalization for illegal aliens, and he has no problem with threats of new demonstrations.
I've always said that those marches were good. They didn't hurt a thing. They were peaceful and they were powerful. That's what America's all about.
He also says there will be no additional funding for the border fence bill signed by President Bush. Ironically, that bill was passed in part because of frustration with previous pro-amnesty protests. Other spring protest organizers we spoke with say they are in no hurry to return to the streets. They say they are pursuing a strategy of unity with the new Democratic leadership. Lou.
Harry Reid sounded just enthralled by the fact that the Democratic vote among Hispanic voters that did go to the polls rose from 60 to 69%. Such euphoria on that move?
Yeah, it was certainly surprising that he was so euphoric about that, and especially his comments about amnesty and the border fence from a senator who, as you well know, Lou, was not too many years ago a strong advocate of border security.
Right, and I think it's illuminating that Senator Reid attaches the fact that a person of Hispanic origin in this country voted for a Democrat in his judgment simply on the basis of comprehensive immigration reform in the Senate, as if Hispanic Americans would not be as unhappy and dissatisfied with the Bush administration and the Republican Congress as any other American, irrespective of their ethnicity.
He seems to be buying into the argument that many of the amnesty advocates make. They're linking race with the issue of border security, which we know from election results in Arizona and other places is not true, Lou.
Not true, but it looks like if that performance is any indication, in my opinion, it looks like we may be back to the same obfuscatory tactics on the part of the Democratic leadership in the Senate as we saw on the part of the Republican leadership. Casey, thank you very much. Casey Wine. When Mexican President Vicente Fox leaves office this week and Felipe Calderon takes his place, President Bush will be the last of the so-called three amigos. Bush, Fox, and of course Canadian Prime Minister Paul Martin were the originators of the so-called Security and Prosperity Partnership, which critics call nothing more than a North American union. It means open borders, commerce at all cost, and by the way, without the approval of either American voters or the U.S. Congress. Christine Romans reports.
Waco, Texas, 2005. Under these three men, the Security and Prosperity Partnership was born. An effort, the governments say, to harmonize regulations and increase cooperation between three very different countries. The Mexican president in Cancun this spring.
We need to elevate the competitiveness of our economies.
And a new Canadian Prime Minister joining the discussions as this North American partnership barrels ahead, with departments and ministries of all three governments working quickly to integrate North America by 2010. The official progress report boasting, quote, implementation is on track. And now Mexico's new president, Felipe Calderon, widely expected to keep the progress moving. Critics, though, say there's too little transparency and no congressional oversight.
There's nothing wrong with neighboring governments talking to each other, synchronizing their watches to make sure they're all on the same page in the cases of emergency or on trade issues or even on the flows of goods and people. But if policies are being made that the American people might oppose or that are contrary to the law, especially as it relates to immigration, they're doing something a bit more nefarious.
He points to SPP documents urging the free flow of goods and people across borders and a wish list from business interests that borders remain open during a flu pandemic. Worse, critics say foreign policy elites are promoting a European-style union, erasing borders between the three countries and eventually moving to a single North American currency called the Amero. A Commerce Department spokesman, however, denies this, quote, there is absolutely no plan for a common currency.
Speculation about that erupted again this week after some in the Canadian business contingent included it on a list of their long-term goals for the SPP. But people involved with the partnership between the three countries are very quick to distance themselves, Lou, from that very, very unpopular idea.
The fact is, and everyone watching you and that report tonight, for any American to think that it is acceptable for the President of the United States and this executive department of his government, his administration, our government, to proceed without the approval of Congress or a dialogue and a debate and a public voice from the people of this country is absolutely unconscionable.
The defense of those folks who are saying that they're involved with the SPP is that they're not doing anything that would require congressional approval or voter approval. They're just
harmonizing the regulations between the three countries.
What they're doing is creating a brave new world, an Orwellian world, in which the will of the people is absolutely irrelevant. And I think we've had a sampling of what's going to happen to people who do that in the future. I can't imagine this standing. But then again, I couldn't imagine its beginning, nor the fact that it's gotten this far. Christine, thank you. Christine Romans. That brings us to the subject of our poll tonight: a North American Union, Mexico, the United States, and Canada. A really good idea or a really bad idea? Cast your vote, please, at BlueDobbs.com. We'll have the results here later. And just ahead, long lines, missing votes, and voter machine breakdowns. The election of 2006, not error-free. We'll tell you what some lawmakers want to do to prepare for our presidential election in 2 years. And a new study shows the American dream is just a dream for many Americans. College tuition costs are spiraling out of control. We'll have that special report and the selling of our skies and our national security. Shocking new evidence tonight that the United States government wants to give control of our airlines to foreign investors. Or is it the U.S. government, or is it the Bush administration? We'll have the answers here next. Stay with us.
Tonight, 7 p.m. Eastern, could a meeting between President Bush and the Iraqi Prime Minister cause Iraq's government to fall? Tonight in the Situation Room.
Larry King tonight. Dog the Bounty Hunter. Will he be jailed in Mexico? Plus Senator John Kerry. Larry King live tonight, 9 Eastern, only on CNN.
You and I will never know each other. Our paths will never cross. But I'll be there when the diagnosis comes and the invincibility ends. Through the ups and downs, for as long as it takes to heal.
We are all connected and thousands strong. Regents, together, we can take charge.
One out of every 4 local children is currently at risk of abuse or neglect. That's where Children's Relief Nursery steps in, offering new solutions to families in stress. You can help with gifts for a family, food, or a cash donation to make the holidays happy for our youngest, most vulnerable citizens.
Don't wait an hour for morning news. 6 a.m. CNN American Morning tomorrow.
To look at it, you'd never suspect that this was part of a working landfill. That's because Waste Management works closely with communities and the Wildlife Habitat Council to make sure we can all live peacefully together. Today, our landfills provide more than 17,000 acres of protected land for wildlife habitat. From everyday collection to environmental protection, think green, think Waste Management.
At our recent offsite, I picked up this juicy tidbit. SAP has software for mid-sized businesses. Trust me, it's juicy.
I always do my research on the web before I buy anything. So, check this out. CNET rated Vonage the #1 digital phone service. That was good enough for me.
Start saving up to $300 a year on your phone bill. It's just $24.99 a month for unlimited local and long-distance calling. Vonage is the better way to phone for less.
Sign up now and get 1 month free. Call 1-888-840-4VON or go to Vonage.com or visit one of these fine retailers.
From California to Kentucky, electronic voting machines proved to be anything but failure-proof during the midterm elections. Now, some lawmakers are trying to make certain that missing votes and machine breakdowns and possibly machine manipulations are at least not part of our next presidential election. Katie Pilgrim reports.
It wasn't a meltdown, but it was far from trouble-free.
And while you can point to results and say, well, the results were clean, there's enough doubt about the process in individual voters' eyes that we've got work to do to increase voter confidence in the system in 2008 and beyond.
In Denver, long lines lasted hours when the electronic voting registration failed. In Florida's 13 congressional district, the 18,000 votes didn't register.
Did voters abstain or did the machines drop them? No answer yet. The recount complicated because there is no paper trail. In Georgia, Illinois, Texas, New Jersey, and Ohio, charges of vote flipping, the machine showing the wrong candidate on the screen. Because activists were so vocal before the election, some of the problems may have been headed off. For example, in Maryland, a disastrous primary turned into a smooth election day. In troubled Cuyahoga County, Ohio, Election Day was relatively smooth but expensive because of last-minute precautions. The county is talking about dropping the current voting system. Lawmakers are looking ahead to 2008 with tough new legislation requiring voter-verified paper trail and random audits.
The legislation also would require that the software be made available for inspection. It would require that there be no wireless connections or internet connections to the voting machines, and I think those would go a long way toward restoring confidence.
Holt believes that legislation, because it has so many co-sponsors, will pass easily in the new year. In Sarasota County, the home of the missing 18,000 votes, an audit found several discrepancies in a retest of the equipment. Now, the voting machines had miscounts. That race is still contested, and the state-run audit is not complete, even now, Lou.
And it's almost irresistible, Congressman Holt's legislation and it's certainly not a complete panacea for this issue, but his legislation, it seems straightforwardly it should be enacted in order to at least reduce that level of possible problems.
It certainly seems like common sense.
Katie Pilgrim, thank you very much. Time now for some of your thoughts. Elaine in Michigan. How do we expect our children to follow the law when they see illegal immigrants breaking them constantly and our government going along with it? And Bill in New Jersey, dear Lou, it is instructive that the Chinese government, one of the most repressive on earth, selects the Justice Department of the United States for lessons in the suppression of dissent. What do the Chinese know about the Justice Department that we can only surmise? And Debbie in Tennessee, what happened to the American in the American Civil Liberties Union? Why is the American Civil Liberties Union fighting for non-Americans? American taxpayers and American towns are drowning in debt from the illegal aliens. Why aren't the ACLU groupies fighting for these Americans? Send us your thoughts to LouDobbs.com. More of your thoughts upcoming. Each of you whose email is read here receives a copy of my new book, War on the Middle Class. And for more on this country's war on the middle class and the faith-based trade policies that are contributing to it, my column is on the CNN.com website or LouDobbs.com. Coming up next, the war on our middle class. A new study highlights the crisis in American higher education and the crisis for American middle-class families. Also, if the ports deal with Dubai wasn't enough, we now have a new national security giveaway to concern ourselves with. The Bush administration preparing to give foreign investors control of American Airlines. We'll have that special report, and we'll also update you on what's going on with those Dubai port world deals. President Bush and the Iraqi Prime Minister preparing for talks in Jordan. I'll be joined by three of the country's best political analysts here next. Stay with us.
To engineer a new rewards card for a business like yours, Open from American Express rewrote the rules. We started with business-size spending power, enough to buy inventory, supplies, and equipment. Spending power that can grow with your business. Because businesses spend more, you deserve more. So we put no limits or expiration dates on the points you earn. And we reward you faster with accelerated bonuses that can speed you to as many as 100,000 points in just 1 year. Good for 4 domestic airline tickets or other great rewards for you, your employees, and your business. The Business Gold Rewards Card from American Express. Expanding rewards to business dimensions. That's Open, how American Express serves small business. Call 800-NOW-OPEN to apply. We'll start you on your way to 100,000 points and waive the fee for 1 year.
Here's a radically simple suggestion from eLoan. You can lower your rising monthly payments by consolidating your debt with a home equity loan and paying one lower monthly rate. Just call 1-800-TRY-eLoan or go to eLoan.com. eLoan, radically simple.
Tonight on 360, we're live from Amman, Jordan, where President Bush and Iraq's Prime Minister are holding talks. We'll have full coverage of their meetings, plus saving Iraq from all-out civil war. There are many options on the table. We'll sort through all of them. 360 tonight, 10 p.m. Eastern.
My baby, she loves to bake. She's an angel with the devil's fruitcake. You can keep your sirloin, keep your steak. 'Cause my baby, she loves to bake. Bake me Alaska, for goodness sake. To Wednesday. My baby, she loves to bake.
The rare type of radioactive material linked to the death of a former Russian spy has now been discovered on 2 British airliners. British Airways is asking tens of thousands of passengers who may have flown on those jetliners to contact health authorities. 2 Boeing 767s at London's Heathrow Airport tested positive, and a third was grounded. The airline says the health risk is low, but it's trying to reach people who may have been aboard those jets since October 25th and have come into contact with polonium-210, the deadly substance. A deal that drew outrage and condemnation all across the nation, in part because of our reporting here, may be finally coming to a resolution. DP World, a Dubai-owned company, says it is expecting what it calls final bids for its U.S. port operations within the next 2 weeks. The bidders, who were not identified by Dubai Ports World, they do, however, say all of the bidders are American. The original deal that allowed the Dubai company to take over operations at 6 U.S. ports was first highlighted back in February on this broadcast. Following the uproar, DP World said it would sell all of its 21 port operations to an American-owned company. Apparently, the Bush administration didn't learn much from its Dubai port fiasco. Incredibly, it now appears the Bush administration is going ahead with a plan to give control of our airlines to foreign investors, despite the fact that the United States Congress has expressly disapproved that idea. Bill Tucker has the report.
Domestic control of our airlines appears to be coming to an end. That despite overwhelming bipartisan opposition in Congress to a rule change that would give day-to-day operational control to foreign investors.
Aviation is a very critical component of homeland security and of our economy, and I don't think we can afford to do anything which even brings into question that Homeland Security would not be under complete control of the United States and the United States interest.
Rumors of the imminent change prompted members of the House Committee on Transportation and Infrastructure to remind the White House of their opposition in a letter. Quote, Congress has taken a strong position that a major change to the current law regarding foreign ownership of U.S. airlines should be accomplished only by congressional action, not unilaterally imposed by the executive branch. Making the rule final in the face of bipartisan congressional opposition would be a very poor start to the 110th Congress. The administration says it not only has the right to make the rule change, Congress is making a big deal out of nothing. Yet back in February, a representative of the Department of Transportation conceded the obvious.
They would be able to make the commercial decisions that define the shape of the product, the quality of the product, the routes that were flown.
As well as what planes to buy, where they're maintained.
I mean, the national security implications of losing control of the civilian reserve Air Force fleet, the massive job losses for American pilots, flight attendants, and others associated with the airlines, and in all probability, dramatic cutbacks in domestic service.
If DOT makes the change, DeFazio and Lobiondo say Congress will override it.
Now, we repeatedly called the Transportation Department asking for comment, asking if a rule change will in fact be announced soon. The department had no comment. Lou, this is all being done, as so often it is, in the name of free trade. The United States seeking to gain landing rights in Europe and in London. Amazingly, those European airlines already have landing rights here. We're not denying those rights. We're just giving away the airlines to land in Europe.
Well, we is a big word. The Bush administration, right, with its manifest, what does George Bush, I mean, straightforwardly, this administration, do they understand this is an American government, a democracy, a representative government? I mean, it is absolutely insufferable to tolerate this kind of arrogance. Thank goodness that the Congress is standing up. And thank goodness we're going to have some oversight and some checks and balances, we hope, in this new government. Bill Tucker, thank you very much. A disturbing, that's what we need here, is another disturbing report illustrating the higher education crisis in this country. While college costs are skyrocketing, financial aid is dwindling. And middle-class Americans, of course, paying an ever higher price. Lisa Sylvester reports.
There is a crisis in American higher education that is largely being ignored by the nation. That's a new stark warning from the National Conference of State Legislatures.
It's pretty clear that access to a higher education is shrinking, and that has tremendous consequences for the country because other countries are starting to catch up.
In plain terms, the bipartisan group of legislators spells out the American higher education system no longer is the best in the world. For every 100 ninth graders who enter high school, only 18 finish college within 6 years. The report highlighting the gap between the haves and have-nots warns the poorest individuals have only an 8% chance of obtaining a college degree compared to a 70% chance for the wealthiest individuals.
When you take into account the rising cost of college, that college is becoming more inaccessible, especially for students who are in the low income ranges and backgrounds.
College tuition rates have increased 35% in the last 5 years, more than double the rate of inflation, according to the College Board. Pell Grants used to cover the cost of a public education. Now students are lucky if it covers a third. That means more middle-class families are going into debt.
I had financial aid my first 2 years of college, and once it went away, that's thousands of more dollars that I have to put in.
Cost is not the only reason students are failing to earn a college diploma. Some drop out because of shortcomings at the high school level. They start college inadequately prepared.
The legislative group recommends that states and the federal government, rather than continuing to shift the cost to students and their parents, need to increase public funding for higher education. Also, more emphasis needs to be placed on making sure high schoolers are taking college preparatory classes. Lou?
Lisa, the idea that only 18 out of 100 students entering high school make it through college over a 6-year period, that's so astounding. The very idea that with all of these great state-funded and taxpayer-funded universities and colleges across this country, that we can't do better than that is shameful.
It's pathetic, it's sad, and it is a real problem that people need to know and be aware of, and that really our lawmakers need to do something about it, because it is a crisis, as this report has outlined, Lou.
And as I say here, and I've said in every other quarter that I can, our public education system is a great equalizer in this society. But when you look at numbers that say that 8% of the poor in this country, that's the probability that their kids will be going through college, and 70% for the wealthy, that speaks volumes about what we can look at as the bridge, the gap, rather, between the haves and the have-nots for the next generation. We've got to do something. Lisa, thank you very much. Lisa Sylvester from Washington. James Baker's Iraq Study Group may recommend talks with both Iran and Syria. I'll be talking with Syria's ambassador to the United Nations about what his government's position is in helping the United States in the Middle East. And a heated exchange between President Bush and the newly elected senator from Virginia, Jim Webb. We'll tell you what the showdown was all about. Stay with us.
Hello, I'm Lindsay Wagner. You know, if you're frustrated by the quality of your sleep or because you have morning back pain, please give us a call right now. It won't cost you a thing except a minute of your time. We'll immediately send you this free video and brochure with all the details about this amazing bed, including complete descriptions of all our bed models, prices, and options. You'll have all the information you need to make a decision that can truly make a difference in your sleep.
It's been amazing, the difference that the Sleep Number bed has made with my sleep personally. I have not woken up with back pain at all, not once since we've gotten it.
I switched from an inner spring mattress to a Sleep Number bed, and now I sleep better than ever.
It's the only bed I know of that's clinically proven to improve your sleep quality and relieve back pain. And it also costs about the same as a traditional inner spring mattress, yet it lasts twice as long. Now, like most of us, before I got my sleep number bed, I used to toss and turn during the night. I'd wake up, roll over, find a comfortable position, and then go back to sleep. But on a sleep number bed, I actually sleep all the way through the night. And I didn't realize I wasn't getting a good night's sleep until I experienced one on a sleep number bed. I also noticed that I have more stamina during the day, and I know it's because I'm getting a more recuperative sleep. So why don't you call us right now and see if it isn't true for you as well.
Call for your free information kit. Sleep Number beds are easy to own, coming in all standard sizes with queen-size mattresses starting as low as $20 a month. Learn about our 20-year limited warranty and risk-free 30-night in-home trial. Call 1-800-289-6100. On a Sleep Number bed by Select Comfort, you can fall asleep faster, sleep more soundly, and wake up more refreshed. Call 1-800-289-6100. We'll rush you this free video, brochure, and price list. That's 1-800-289-6100. The Sleep Number bed is the key to a perfect night's sleep. Call now.
The Iraq Study Group may push both Syria and Iran to the forefront in the Iraq war. Joining me now, the Syrian ambassador to the United Nations, Bashar Jafari. Good to have you with us, Ambassador.
Thank you very much for being with you again.
This Iraq Study Group, before it has published its documents and its recommendations, has elevated both Syria and Iran as a possible change agent and perhaps a major player in resolving Iraq. Is your government ready to help?
We welcome the study elaborated by Mr. Baker and Hamilton, and I think that we know very well Mr. Baker because we worked with him a long time ago, and we know his skills and as diplomat and his capacities in building confidence building measures in the area. So we have been actually turned towards any overture on the side of the American administration for quite some long time. The problem is that we are waiting for the other side. I mean, the American administration to take any step, any positive step.
Any positive step, and what would that positive step be? Simply picking up the phone and calling and saying, "Let's talk," or the question I have really is, to what degree can Syria, since you and I have discussed this before, you say Syria has played no role in Iraq, what positive role can they play?
There is a broad agreement all over the world, either among what you qualify as pro-Syrians or among those who you qualify as anti-Syrians, that the regional role of Syria should not be neglected or ignored.
Well, the United States classifies your country, your nation, as a sponsor of terrorism, and there is no equivocation about it. Is there a possibility in what would be your interest in helping the United States first resolve the situation in Iraq and extricate itself from what is near, at least, if not worse, a civil war?
Any help from Syria should be based on the rule of reciprocity. Help should not be unilateral. We are waiting for gestures coming from the American administration at many levels in Iraq, in Lebanon, and in Palestine. We are a regional player in the area, and the American administration should discuss with us at this title.
As you know, there is some concern amongst a number of analysts that if this war in Iraq is not resolved, that not only will Iraq remain in what is near, or some suggest now, a civil war, but also Lebanon will be further destabilized, Jordan, and certainly possibly Syria as well. You talk about reciprocity. What would you have the United States reciprocate with?
We need peace in the area. We need to solve the Arab-Israeli conflict and the Palestinian question. We need to see a Palestinian state established in Palestine. This is what we need. We need to see the American troops withdrawing from Iraq, and we want to see Lebanon stabilized once again.
Ambassador Jafari, we thank you for being here.
Thank you very much.
Good to see you again.
I appreciate it.
Just ahead, President Bush and Virginia's newest democratically elected Jim Webb. Well, he was democratically elected, but he's a Democrat. They're going head-to-head over Iraq, of all things. We'll have that story, and the president and the Iraqi prime minister meet tomorrow in Jordan. And I'll be joined by three of the country's best political minds next. Stay with us.
Why do kids keep getting fatter and fatter? Richard Simmons joins Glenn Beck with ideas to get kids moving and losing weight. Glenn Beck's Got Issues. Headline News Prime tonight, 7 and 90s.
All new. Dr. Oz is back to answer your burning weight loss questions. Well, look what you started. And attention, all overweight men.
If you lose 35 pounds, you gain 1 inch.
I never heard that before. Next, Oprah.
Today at 4 on News Channel 8. Tonight, gas is expensive, cars are expensive, but your insurance doesn't have to be.
You can get some good discounts.
Unit 8 shows you simple ways to save money on your auto insurance, driving down costs. Tonight at 5 on News Channel 8.
Steve Carell is Hammy the Squirrel. He's cute.
I gotta go wee-wee. Not in the lake we drink from.
He's curious.
You like this cookie?
Oh, this cookie's junk.
I like a cookie.
And when it comes to saving their land,
Half the forest is gone. What do we do for fun?
he's full of hidden talents.
I can burp my ABCs.
A, B, C. DreamWorks, Over the Hedge.
Hit movies without the trip to the video store. On demand with Comcast Digital Cable.
If you're tired of paying for high-priced, old-fashioned help wanted ads in the newspaper, then do what over 1,000 other business owners have done. Make the switch to PortlandJobFinder.com, brought to you in partnership with Comcast Spotlight.
With the very intuitive and easy-to-use website and their excellent customer service support, I would highly recommend Portland Job Finder for all of your job posting needs.
PortlandJobFinder.com. We're the faster, more effective way to find and hire the local employees that you need now.
The Northwest has only one concert rock violinist. Moonstruck Chocolate and Comcast present the 6th annual holiday concert featuring violinist Aaron Meyer and instrumentalist Bill Lamb. Experience holiday favorites from around the world with a fresh new energy. December 15th and 16th at First Congregational Church. Advance tickets available at Safeway Tickets West. Aaron Meyer and Bill Lamb. Get swept up in the season.
Dog the Bounty Hunter and Prisoner, plus Senator John Kerry. Larry King tonight, 9 Eastern.
Well, something of a brush up at the White House between President Bush and the newly elected senator from Virginia, Jim Webb. It's the talk of Washington, we're told tonight. Jim Webb, a highly decorated Vietnam veteran, his son serving in Iraq with the Marine Corps. The president and Jim Webb met at the White House. Jim Webb says he tried to avoid it. Here's the exchange as it went, we're told. Bush, how's your boy? I'd like to get them out of Iraq, Mr. President. That's not what I asked you, Mr. Bush said. How's your boy? Senator-elect Webb, that's between me and my boy, Mr. President. Senator says he wasn't looking for a confrontation. But Jim Webb is not exactly a fellow to back away from one either. Joining me now is Mark Halperin. He's the political director at ABC News, co-author of the scary book, The Way to Win, Taking the White House in 2008. Good to have you here.
Great to be here.
And Democratic strategist, Democratic National Committee member Robert Zimmerman, and all-around good guy. And Errol Lewis, columnist at the New York Daily News, member of the editorial board, also a pretty good fella. Good to have you here. What do you make of the senator-elect's conduct?
Well, you know, he's saying, oh, gee, I went out of my way. He tried to walk away from the president, says he didn't want the confrontation, but he didn't have to be there. You know, he didn't have to sort of ratchet it up in the way that he did. And so I think he's kind of still on the campaign trail a little bit. I mean, he got elected by people who were pretty angry at the president, and apparently that has clung to him a little bit.
Well, we can't blame him, in my opinion, too much, Mark, because there are a lot of folks who are governing as if they were still on the campaign trail. I'm not naming any names.
Well, look, Washington's going to be different in January. I think this is a preview. Jim Webb is one of 8 new senators on the Democratic side. A lot of these people are iconoclastic. They don't give a rip, as Bill Clinton would say, about the normal,
Hallelujah.
About the normal
To
posture
inject
of
a little
Washington.
religion into
There you
politics.
go.
Hallelujah.
A little pass the plate to these candidates because they're going to be senators come January, and I think you're going to see more of this, not just at the White House, but all over Capitol Hill.
I think Jim Webb is not on the campaign trail. I think this is who he is. He's the real deal. And I give him credit for his candor. And I think what you're also seeing and as an emerging coalition amongst Republicans and Democratic moderates in the House and Senate to get things done and to hold this administration accountable on Iraq.
Robert Zimmerman, we're going to have every word you utter up there ready to hold before you when the 110th Congress takes hold. And we all, of course, hope you're right. The New York Times publishing the classified memo from Stephen Handley, the National Security Advisor, saying, quote, "The reality on the streets of Baghdad suggests that al-Maliki is either ignorant of what is going on, misrepresenting his intentions, or that his capabilities are not yet sufficient to turn his good intentions into action." Errol?
Well, look, it will, over time, probably be seen as one of the factors that helped destabilize that government. But as we've seen from the Muqtada al-Sadr faction walking out, that pretty much everything in that memo was true. I don't know if you had to go much further than the casualty reports, the unfolding civil war that everyone's watching, the open talk,
the reality,
the open talk of partition of the country. It's all falling apart, and that prime minister has got to take that responsibility at some point.
Muqtada al-Sadr pulled 30 from the block of 128 in the parliament. 6 ministers of the 32 in the Iraqi government. Mark?
Look, the Bush administration said, look, military progress slow, economic progress slow, but what they've always pointed to is political progress. This is a real threat to the unraveling of political progress in Iraq. Whatever the American military commitment in Iraq is, the president would like to leave behind a strong government. This suggests that they have doubts that the current government, which is in office for a while, unless something dramatic happens, is not necessarily going to be able to hold the center to the extent there is one in Iraq. It's a big, there are 101 theories about why the thing was written, but all of them are bad for progress.
And as Mark is suggesting, holding the center in Iraq, finding the center in the United States is critically important because, as President Ahmadinejad of Iran points out, the Democrats now will share with the new Congress policy responsibility for what happens in Iraq.
We don't need to be lectured by the president of Iran about policy responsibility or about history or, for that matter, about integrity. The man has truly disgraced himself in the civilized world by his conduct. But the point here is you do see in the Congress now emerging, in fact, even from a coalition that's going to hold this administration accountable for its Iraq policy. And I'm even encouraged by the comments by the nominee, by Bob Gates, the Secretary of Defense nominee, designee, in terms of the way he's responded to inquiries from during his confirmation process, pointing out that the administration, in fact, made mistakes. There has to be a different approach to addressing this issue. And clearly, the bottom line I think that's emerging is this is the Iraq government's civil war to win or to lose. And it's not going to help America in the war on terror to be refereeing a civil war.
So you're saying that the Democrats in 2008 wouldn't be holding the Republican administration accountable for the conduct of the war in Iraq and put it squarely on the Iraqis?
I'm saying to you that we're going to always hold the administration accountable for bringing us into this war, but we're also going to work collectively to try to resolve it.
Does that work for you?
Well, it's the only path forward. I mean, you've got new regional players. You just had one of them on the show with you. Syria, Iran, they are regional players. They are saying so. They are announcing it. That letter wasn't aimed. It was addressed to Americans. It wasn't for Americans. It was for the whole rest of the world to say that we are on the world stage. We are a regional player, and you will not move forward without talking to Iran and Syria.
Of the Bush administration's policies in Iraq is that they have done for Iran what Iran could not do on their own. Iran fought Iraq for 8 years to try to be a central player in the Middle East. Our incursion there and the tragically inexcusable way we executed it resulted in making Iran a major player.
Robert Zimmerman, Mark Halperin, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Give us a lot to chew on here. That book about winning is still, I think it ought to be. Do you think we should ban that book?
I think Democrats
deny
also
it to Democrats and Republicans.
Ban it or buy it.
Ban it or buy it.
Way to win.
You got it. Thanks for being here, gentlemen. Still ahead, the results of our poll tonight. We'll have more of your thoughts. Stay with us.
Tonight, 7 p.m. Eastern, could a meeting between President Bush and the Iraqi Prime Minister cause Iraq's government to fall? Tonight, in the Situation Room.
It's the time of the season when love runs high. In this time
Moving your 401ks to Fidelity is groovy. Our retirement specialists make it so easy, they'll even do most of the paperwork. You dig? Call 1-800-FIDELITY. Smart move.
Any global accounting organization needs to keep a sharp eye on the financial environment. Listen carefully to your needs and goals, and think long and hard about your business. But what distinguishes the accountants at Grant Thornton is their passion for the business of accounting. Grant Thornton, a passion for the business of accounting.
Let me tell you about a very important phone call I made. When I got my Medicare card, I realized I needed an AARP Medicare Supplement insurance card too.
One simple call gave me the chance to talk with a personal health insurance advisor
Who answered all my questions about Medicare supplement plans.
If you're already on or eligible for Medicare, call now to find out how an AARP Medicare Supplement Insurance Plan, insured by United Healthcare Insurance Company, helps you pay some of the 20% of your medical expenses not covered by Medicare Part B. That can save you thousands of dollars. These are the only Medicare supplement insurance plans exclusively endorsed by AARP, a name you trust. When you call now, we'll send you this free information kit, plus this free guide to understanding Medicare.
I can keep my own doctor and choose my own hospital.
and I don't need a referral to see a specialist.
Call 1-800-673-4168 now. A personal health insurance advisor is waiting.
The results of our poll, 94% of you saying you believe a North American union is a really bad idea. Time now for more of your thoughts quickly. Gina in New York, dear Lou, all Americans that drive cars and use oil heat support terrorism. And that other wacko, Chavez, tunnel vision politicians who don't want us to use our own energy resources are also supporting terrorists. Jody in Maryland, how ironic. American corporations can legally do business with terrorist countries, but it's illegal to bring Cuban cigars into the USA. What's going on here? Have we totally lost our marbles? Thanks for watching tonight. Good night from New York. Situation Room begins now with Wolf Blitzer. Wolf?
Thanks very much, Lou. And to our viewers, you're in the Situation Room where new pictures and information are arriving all the time. Standing by, CNN reporters across the United States and around the world to bring you tonight's top story. Happening now, President Bush stood up by Iraq's prime minister. Is it a sign of things to come for their summit in Jordan? It's 2 a.m. Thursday.